Shane Beamer has a big decision on his plate here in the next couple of weeks. I say weeks because, well, there's not a month of the season left. They're not going to a bowl game. They're not going to get all those practices. Shane Beamer's going to have to make a decision on hiring a new offensive coordinator as soon as he possibly can. You want to get that guy in the building now so that players who are still on the roster, who may think about ditching you, going somewhere else. Looking at you, Lenore Sellers. Looking at you, Nick Harbor, and others. You want to keep those guys around. But, Cole, what if I told you Shane Beamer should probably be looking to make two coordinator hires in the offseason, not just one? Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Cole Bryson. My name is Diesel, and Tolos, you can text into the show. 844-326-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. For some reason, Cole, over the past year or so, people have been talking about Clayton White like he's some kind of a sacred cow in Columbia. Like he is the golden boy, that his defenses are amazing, and that you can't even consider moving on from Clayton White and trying to upgrade at defensive coordinator. But what if I told you his tenure at South Carolina has gone pretty much exactly like Shane Beamer's tenure has at South Carolina? And by that, I mean up and down and up and down and up and down, and just as high as his highs have been, his lows have been awfully low as well. What do you think, Tolos? Is it crazy to say that South Carolina should move on from Clayton White, fire him, find somebody who can run a better SEC defense than that?
Well, unfortunately, Diesel, I do believe that a lot of the coordinator's success or lack thereof directly ties and has direct correlations to the success of the head coach, right? Like they're on the same boat. They're on the same ship. They're both sailing in the same direction. So as much as I think there's room for improvement in areas of South Carolina's football team, because I think there is, and I posted this question on our Facebook page at the Fan Upstate just a few minutes ago, so we'll see what the Tolos are saying on our Facebook page. I think Clayton White's done a good job bringing in the right players and doing a good job putting the players in position. And when I look back at Shane Beamer's tenure, Diesel, his short to mid tenure in South Carolina, I don't think immediately of Clayton White as one of the reasons that Beamer hasn't had that success.
I think the world of Clayton White as a recruiter. South Carolina's been getting signees, elite defensive players. They're not keeping every single one of them throughout their entire tenure, but hey, that's modern college football. It is what it is. But Clayton White's defenses, Cole, since 2021 when he was hired, 6th, 10th, 12th, 4th last year, and 12th this year. Do the average, you're probably somewhere around 9.
That's in the conference?
Yeah, in the conference.
Yeah.
You're probably somewhere around 9. Bottom third.
Yeah.
So, again, I know that he's a great guy. I know that a lot of South Carolina fans have probably warmer feelings about Clayton White's defenses than he deserves. But come on, you can't hang your hat on that 4th place defense last year and forget about the 2 different times, and I'm talking about 2023 and 2025, that he had the 12th best defense in the SEC.
It's interesting because I think it is a good question. I think generally, Diesel, and again, Tolos, want to hear from you, especially Gamecock fans at 844-326-3663. JB, Jersey Joe, Dewey, Tolos already getting in on the stream, where 49 Tolos are watching on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I think generally he's done a very good job. And I know the numbers you gave out there when it comes to where they've ranked in the SEC, those aren't the best numbers as a total unit. But I do think you look at the turnovers that Shane Beamer's and Clayton White's defenses have been able to force. You go look, he's had 88 turnovers forced under his tenure, under his watch as defensive coordinator. That is the highest in the SEC over that stretch. So my point being, I understand your total defense and where they rank among the other teams in the conference. I just think generally when you go find other metrics, I think you say, Clayton White's done a pretty good job. I just can't say that this, like, let's put it this way. If we declare today that the Shane Beamer era is over, if he were fired today, Diesel, I wouldn't say, Shane Beamer era was a utter failure because of Clayton White.
I'm not saying that his defense has been atrocious, and the average is 8.8, by the way. I just did the math on that. 8.8. So the ninth best defense in the SEC over his tenure. Is that a reason why you keep a guy around? Like, yeah, interceptions. That's great. But where's the consistency season after season? We talk about that all the time when it comes to football. You got to have consistency. You have to be able to build and improve on an annual basis. Even if it's improving from 9 to 6, a middle of the road SEC defense, yeah, you're probably going to lose a couple games in conference. But outside of that, when you're playing your out of conference games, when you're playing against Clemson, when you're playing in bowl games, you should be able to absolutely dominate and shut those teams down. But South Carolina sitting below Vanderbilt right now, sitting below Kentucky, sitting below Auburn. They're firing their head coach.
Yeah. I think there's definitely areas for Clayton White's defense to improve. Don't get me wrong. I think there's areas, every season they can improve. And I'm not going just to that one turnover metric and saying, you got to keep them just because of this turnover metric. But I think it's silly to think about firing a guy, Diesel, who you talk about the turnovers, the 88 turnovers forced. You talk about last year, this defense a season ago, Clayton White's defense in 2024, they were top 25 in a lot of key categories. Scoring defense, 12th in the country. Total defense, 16th in the country, 18th in rush defense. They were 6th in FBS football in sacks. They were number 1 last year in forced fumbles. They were really good last year. I don't think he's a bad coordinator whatsoever. Look, you're talking about a guy that's been nominated for the Broyles Award, which goes to a top assistant coach in the country multiple times. He was a semifinalist last year. Their scheme, Diesel, I think is interesting. And I think there's some areas maybe the scheme could improve. And, in this new era of NIL and transfer portal, you get these new guys in every year. I think it's really fascinating to look at consistent defenses and consistent defensive coordinators because you do have a lot of newness, not just offensively, but defensively. When you have all this newness, how do you continue to keep your scheme and what you do as a defensive coordinator consistent?
I mean, I understand that. They put 5 guys off of that defense into the NFL last season going into this year. So you lose Nick Emanwari. You're losing Demetrius Knight and Bam Martin Scott and Kyle Kennard and Tonka Hemingway. It is difficult to replace those kind of guys, right? But you're also at South Carolina where you're bringing in 5 stars and bringing in 4 stars. You should have the ability to maintain. I'm not saying he had to have the number 4, number 5 best defense in the SEC this year to be safe.
Yeah.
But when you fall from 4 to 12, that's a problem. And it's not that they're getting better as the season progresses. They've actually gotten worse as the season progresses. If you look at the breakdowns, the month-by-month breakdowns, November, I get it, short sample size, only 2 games in the month of November. You're getting worse, and that's not good. Like, there's no development there. Clayton White can recruit, and that's great. And I think he probably has a pretty good scheme, but he's not very good at developing players so that they get better as the season goes along.
I don't know, man. I look at last year. You talk about development. Those guys that he put in the NFL that you just read off, like those guys by the end of the season, Diesel, I just don't think that's true. They were playing their best football last year. Like at the end of the season, go look at what Demetrius Knight and those guys I can't talk all of a sudden. Go look at what those guys did down the stretch. I mean, I look back to that Clemson game. I don't know that I can agree with you on this. I think Clayton White last year, to your point, lost so much going into this season. And those guys, what did you say, 5 guys now in the NFL? They were really good last year. They won that Clemson game. That defense won that Clemson game. Yeah, Lenora Sellers was incredible against Clemson in 2024. But those guys, man, I know the bowl game could have gone a lot better, but I think that the reason that South Carolina down the stretch last year, Diesel, was able to go and perform like they did after that Alabama loss, I think in large part was due to the defense because Lenoris was good and they did have Rocket Sanders. I just have to disagree with you on this one. I think Clayton White's I don't think he's anywhere near the problem right now in Columbia.
So let's turn the page there from what should he do, and you are very clearly in the camp that he should not, in any shape or form, any way, shape or form, be on any kind of a hot seat.
Yeah.
The question is, what do we predict that Shane Beamer might do if he feels like he's up against the wall? You know, we know that he's going to have to change offensive coordinators. That's a given. Do we think Shane Beamer might be willing to consider that, might be willing to go in that direction if he feels a little bit nervous, you know, starts hearing footsteps behind him? Do we think Shane Beamer, who is known to be a little bit impulsive, do we think Shane Beamer in desperation mode might feel the pressure to clean house and change things? Or in your mind, is Clayton White safe no matter what?
Well, you know what? I think it's intriguing because you think about it like this. If you go get an OC, here's where we are. Let's all sit down. Let's all gather around the table and unfold our silverware. Here's where we are. This is Beamer's last hire. This is his last chance, right? We all agree on that. If he doesn't get this right, Diesel, he's toast, right? I think you would agree on that. I agree on that. Most of the Tolos out there agree. This hire at OC could be the final hire if it's not the right hire. So here's where we are. To answer your question, there's already so much pressure on that guy talking about Shane Beamer to get this OC hire right. I don't see him adding more wood to the fire, adding more layers, adding more pressure by also moving on and going to get a new DC, or you said cleaning house, or going to get new assistants. I do think it's very, very important to have some consistency and continuity within a football program. And I don't know what happens to Mike Furrey. I don't know what happens to Sean Elliott Diesel on the offensive side of the football. But when you talk about what this year means for Beamer, what this offseason means for Shane Beamer, I think there's so much added pressure because he has to get this OC hire right. I don't think, Diesel, he wants to go down that road and venture down the road of, oh boy, now not only do I have to get an offensive coordinator hire right, I've got to go get this new defensive coordinator hire right as well. I believe Beamer will feel as if I've got a good enough DC in Clayton White. I've rode with him. He's been with me. I've been with him. I'm going to ride with Clayton White until this ship either gets over that big wave or it goes crashing down.
Maybe he feels like he needs to have somebody else that is truly 100% in his corner, you know, and have that ally on staff with him rather than, you know, maybe does he feel like if I hire somebody else, are they gunning for my job next year? Are they gunning to try to be the head coach of South Carolina next year? Texters, good messages coming in. Texter says, I remember Clayton White's first 2 years, and I was one of the ones wanting him fired. Then after last year, I feel like he's figured it out. If we had a complementary offense, I feel like it would help his defenses. Maybe defenses, when the offense can't stay on the field, defense gets worn out, and we all know what happens. You just can't finish second halves of games. Obviously, look what happened on Saturday. Another texter says, when the offense fails to move the ball, same basic idea. When the offense fails to move the ball and pick up first down, it forces the defense to be on the field so much, causing opposing teams to accumulate yards at a high rate. A lot of these rankings are predicated on yards given up. Well, Texter, that's one of the key metrics that you can use. I don't really subscribe to the idea of you can excuse away certain metrics. Your numbers are what your numbers are. And this is a team game. So, I mean, you can look at things in a tiny little bubble through a small lens if you want to. But when you're looking at rankings and trying to decide if this guy is getting the job done or not, you can't really make the excuse of, well, the offense did this, the offense did that. Who cares? We're talking about the defense right now.
Yeah, and I think ultimately what it comes down to me is the more I think about it, Diesel, there's so much risk involved. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago with the ADs, right, on hiring a coach that already has a play calling background, right, because there's less risk involved, because then that coach, if they don't have the play calling background, has to go get a play caller. They have to go get a defensive coordinator, and Beamer's a perfect example of that. When you talk about risk management right now, if you're Shane Beamer, if you're wanting to save your job and coach at South Carolina for the next 3 to 4 seasons, I think the last thing that you can do is add another layer of risk, another element of risk, because right now there's just so much risk. It almost feels like a rubber band that's just pulled really tight, right? That's what it feels like. And if at any point, Diesel, that rubber band snaps, I think this train comes off the train tracks, if you will, and Shane Beamer's done. So I just don't think, simply put, could they be better defensively? Sure, they could. I just don't think that Shane Beamer can afford to have another hire go wrong right now. I think he needs to continue and try to find some stability.
Hey, just because I'm asking the question doesn't mean that I'm calling for Clayton White's job. It's worth having a conversation about. When things are going as wrong as they are, and they're on a 5-game losing streak, you have to be willing to analyze all parts of what's going wrong with the program. And things are going wrong defensively this year. It's just not where you want it to be, so you have to be willing to look at it.
I'll tell you this, when you talk about getting hires right and what he's going to do at OC and does he evaluate DC, based on what he said earlier today in his teleconference and his press conference, he better get it right, because Shane Beamer, and we're going to get to this actual audio coming up at 6 o'clock on the show, but Diesel, this is from Jordan Kay of the State newspaper, who joins us on Thursday. I retweeted this at the Cole Bryson. Shane Beamer said today, I do know next year at this time, we're going to be sitting here on this Tuesday night watching the playoff rankings to see where we are ranking in the show.
Wow.
So I don't know if you call that confidence, blind optimism. I don't really know what you call that, other than, boy, you better get this hire right? I mean, you better get this one right. You better. And again, going back to your point about DC, like, I think he already has his mind made up right now, whether he's good with Clayton White, whether he's not good with Clayton White. I believe he's good with him. I believe he's going to stick around one more season. But ultimately, I think it's going to come down to this offensive coordinator hire. I'm going to throw this wild one out there. Does it cross the mind of Shane Beamer to call Garrett Riley?
It's a fun topic.
I'm just saying, like, Garrett Riley, we believe is not coming back to Clemson, right?
Clemson fans would be ecstatic to let him go. I promise you. But some are.
I'm just saying, man, like, I'm not saying I have heard that or have any inside source or anything. I'm just saying, like, we all are under the impression from what I've heard from sources that Garrett Riley and Dabo Swinney are going to have a mutual, parting of ways. I think everybody's expecting that. Do you not call and have a conversation? Like, I'm not talking about hire. You do call him, right?
Sure.
You've got to.
You got to make the phone call.
He's an hour up the road or 2 hours up the road. So would Gamecock fans be happy with Garrett Riley? I mean, I know that's an 2-hour segment right there, but I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Well, one thing that also caught my eye earlier today, just about everybody who was in Shane Beamer's press conference earlier today tweeted this out. He opened his press conference with a laugh, joking that he was late because he was finishing a fight with Clayton White. So I don't know. We're going to ask the question when we have Jack Veltri on coming up a little bit later on in the show. We're going to ask him kind of to read between the lines of what Shane Beamer had to say there. Is he actually fighting with Clayton White? I mean, what kind of what do you mean by that, Shane?
Well, I brought it up yesterday on the show that there were message board rumors about Shane Beamer and Clayton White having to be separated over the weekend. And obviously Shane Beamer is very attentive to social media, message board rumors, etc.
Okay.
So, look, if it's not true, if it didn't happen, I love it. I think it's freaking hilarious that you come in and say that. Like, that right now's a tough time. Everybody's on edge. Break the ice, maybe laugh, because you don't know how many more laughs you'll get in that room, right? But I think I don't believe it to be true. I don't believe it happened. We'll ask Jack Veltri, though, in terms of if it did happen. I think there's tension. I mean, Diesel is a 3-win ball team, How can there not be tension right now for that program? There's definitely got to be tension.
Texter says, at least in Columbia, maybe Garrett Riley can run his offense. Could you imagine what it would be like if Garrett Riley took the job in Columbia and then all of a sudden the training wheels were off and you saw that TCU offense in Columbia with Lenora Sellers?
If Lenora Sellers sticks around, but you know me, I'm on record. I believe Garrett Riley has been running his offense, and I know that because I've talked to people who are very, very close to the situation who have told me that he is.
It's one of those rumors that it's going to persist forever.
It is. It is. You know, people love having rumors with no evidence or, you know, no sources or anything like that. But I think it's interesting. Also, JB on the stream says, get Sellers to come back and hire Gus Malzahn. I mean, Florida State's a train wreck right now. I think you make that phone call.
How many G-Wagons do you have to give Lenora Sellers to get him to stick around in Columbia?
As many as he wants. Kevin Ramsey says still leads the league in turnovers this season. Dewey's suggesting that I can call the plays. I don't know that'll be a good thing. I don't know that will end well, Dewey.
You can't even call it when it's going to rain. How are you
going
to call an offense?
That's right. Yeah, what are you talking about, Dewey? You idiot. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
But it's good stuff. Good conversation, man. Ultimately, I believe next season, Diesel, Clayton White will still be the defensive coordinator, and it'll all be up to the new OC to save Shane Beamer's job.
We got this guy not sure, and he's going to fix everything.
Yep. Garrett Riley will be guilty of getting Dabo in hot water and Beamer fired. I'm kidding. What James Franklin now means for the ACC. We talked about this yesterday when the news broke, but let's dive head first. Tolos continue the conversation at 844-326-3663. Also on the stream, want to hear your thoughts on James Franklin. Can he win the ACC at Virginia Tech in his first season? That's next. One of our Tolos commented that Virginia Tech will be the new ACC powerhouse. Whoa. Is that a bombshell of a thought there? Or does Dewey...
Oh, you should have qualified.
I know. But, Diesel, big but here. Does Dewey have some validity when it comes to that comment? I'm going to put it up on the stream for those 96 Tolos watching on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Dewey said it. Again, take it with a grain of salt, but it's interesting because that's where we're going. I teased it going into the break. Virginia Tech, James Franklin making it official. He will be introduced as the new head football coach, Diesel, tomorrow morning. We'll hopefully have some audio for tomorrow's show from that press conference. And let me ask you this question. What does James Franklin do, like, in the next few weeks? Like, you got hired before the season's over. So Virginia Tech, they are 3-7 on the season. Has this been announced? And if it has, please tell me if I'm wrong here. Is James Franklin coming in to this week, Diesel, and coaching football? I mean, what are we doing? And again, I haven't seen it. If it's been reported or rumored, let me know, Tolos. But they still have a game against Miami and Virginia Tech. James Franklin's being introduced as the head football coach tomorrow. James Franklin, is he going to coach Saturday night at home against Miami? I don't know. Or is he going to sit in a suite and eat shrimp cocktail and watch?
He'll be in a suite. He'll be in a suite.
Why not, though? Go ahead and throw the headset on.
I think it makes a lot of sense to give him time to ease into learning the roster, to figuring out where he is, instead of saying, hey, go down there and make decisions right now.
No.
Because think about it. Even if he were to throw on a headset, come on, that's ludicrous. Throws on a headset, starts making decisions. People are going to be criticizing every one of those decisions, and he won't have a clue what anybody on his team, people on his team are, what their strengths and weaknesses are, what kind of situations they find success in, and which situations they don't find success, and you just can't do it.
It would be funny though, like tomorrow, here's the news, the press conference, they like hold up the jersey that says Franklin on it, right? The AD and the coach, they're taking the picture, and then like the athletic director reaches behind his back and pulls out a headset and hey coach, Saturday night you're gonna need this. Like,
no, what he needs to be doing right now is he needs to spend this time fundraising. He needs to be spending time calling the biggest donors. I mean, he needs to make 40, 50 phone calls to the top 50 biggest donors for Virginia Tech, touch base with them, get to know them, talk to them, give them each one of them 20, 25 minutes and start galvanizing that fan base and saying, hey, we're going to need your support next season. I feel like I can come in here and change some things, but I'm going to need your support. And that means cutting a check bigger than the one you did last year.
I wonder if you would have, I just bring this back locally before we dive into this, because it popped up in my head. Wonder what Mike Young's response, former Wofford coach, would have been if you would have said 5 years ago, hey, Mike, in a few years, you're going to be coaching in the same school as James Franklin. Like, there's just no way. And I love Mike Young. I grew up going to games and watching Mike Young coach basketball at Wofford. But that's just, it's insane. I still don't, it still hasn't clicked for me that James Franklin is the new head coach of Virginia Tech. It's a big deal. We talked about it yesterday, Diesel, when the news broke. You're talking about a guy who has over 30 years of coaching experience, right? He coached at Vandy, coached at Penn State. He was really good in terms of his overall record, 128-60, but the lack of his success in big games is what ultimately cost him his job in Penn State. And I think now that you are in the ACC and you have this more navigable path to a college football playoff, I think James Franklin's got to be chomping at the bit, don't you?
Yeah, he's got to be feeling really good about this opportunity. Again, he's not going to face anywhere near the same kind of pressure that he has faced at Penn State or at Vanderbilt before that. He is going to face none of that same pressure. People are going to have high expectations, But considering how abysmal Virginia Tech has been now through multiple coaches since Shane Beamer, I think they're going to give him a lot of time.
Yeah.
I think he's going to probably have more money available to him than Brent Pry has ever had in his tenure. I mean, because what's funny is Brent Pry used to work under James Franklin, so he's going to be replacing a guy that used to be one of his assistant coaches. Right. So there's a smidge of continuity there, but still, his job right now is to fundraise, galvanize the fan base, get them excited, get them donating, get them buying merch, get them coming back out to games again. How many people are going to come to a game in the final 2 weeks of the season because they think they might see James Franklin on the sideline?
Yeah, it's fun to kick this idea around as well, because you look at the longevity that he did it. What if James Franklin could take Virginia Tech, and we're going to get to the phone lines in just a second. Diesel, what if he could take Virginia Tech to a national championship? Something that it took Frank Beamer. I mean, you're talking about Frank Beamer was there from 87 to 2000, and I mean a near 30-year span. He was there forever. What if James Franklin came in and did it in like 2 years?
Well, they'll give him time. That's one of the best things.
Time.
They'll give him time. Look at the 2026 schedule for Virginia Tech. They got VMI at home, Old Dominion at home, James Madison at home, Maryland on the road. That is an extremely friendly out-of-conference schedule. And JMU might be the toughest game on that out-of-conference schedule. And, of course, they'll play at home Virginia, Georgia Tech, NC State, and Pitt. On the road at Miami, Boston College, Cal, and Clemson.
Ooh. Wow. It's interesting.
That is a very manageable schedule, because you got to think Georgia Tech's going to fall off a little bit with Haynes King hitting the road. Clemson might fall off a little bit with an entirely new offense.
You said the Clemson game's at Clemson?
Yes, it's at Clemson. They're on the road at Miami, but I mean, I know Miami's going to be stacked with talent, and who knows, maybe Lenora Sellers is the quarterback. Don't know. But I think there's a very good chance that this team at least gets to 7 wins in the first year under James Franklin, maybe 8.
Tolos, what say you on Frank Beamer? On James Franklin. I was reading JB's comment that said Frank Beamer was at Virginia Tech 12 years before they played FSU in the Natty in 1999. Let's go to the phone lines. Kev wants to weigh in. 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. What say you, Kev?
What's up, Coley Cole?
How are you, man?
Man, just out hitting 85, man. About to get on it for a second. But, man, I got a few things real quick.
Okay.
Why do I feel like yesterday I heard you say you was 29 yesterday? You know, that's you're a young-looking guy, man. I get it to you, man, but I'm not going to give you 29.
What are you going to give me?
I don't know. 29 ain't it. If you're 29.
What do you think, 35?
You think 30-something?
30 and some change.
Give me a number,
Dang,
though.
Cole.
Give me a number.
It's that stash.
I'll give you 30. Let me see. I'm 47. You about a 06, 07. I'm going to give you about 35.
Yeah, but here's what you got to remember. I started doing like this high school football stuff as a junior in high school. So I am, to blow your mind, I am only 29.
But he's been in radio for 42 years.
That's true. That's true.
Like this is the oldest soul dude that I know other than me. Like, you know what I'm saying, man? And I never thought it. Like, that's why Cole, you all right. Yeah, but you know what, though? Because Miss Coley Cole, she looked about 39, so I get it.
God. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate the
comment. To talk about Cole Bryson's
That's
mama?
okay. That's okay.
But, oh, yeah. Check this out. So, a while ago, y'all was talking about development. I'm starting to hear this at every level of football. Now, high school, they still developing. But college, you shouldn't be talking about developing once you get to college. That much anyway. If they're not developing in college, that means this NIL has really taken over, and ain't nobody hitting the workouts no more but the guys that's not getting playing time.
It's fair. It's fair. What do you think?
James Franklin, he's going to run it at Virginia Tech.
I was going to say, what do you think on James Franklin? You like that?
I like it, but since we about to get rid of Belichick, I felt like he waited a little bit longer and come on down the road. So.
Wait a minute. What'd you say? North Carolina?
You're a Tar Heel fan?
Yeah, you know all day long.
Come on,
He
Kev.
cricket racing, road racing, it don't matter.
I
I'm
thought you were
raised.
raised better than that, Kev.
And wait a minute, what do you mean getting rid of Belichick?
Yeah, Belichick got to go, man. Like, everybody on the staff, 69,000. Like, there's no young guys, too many on the staff that's going to really get us pumped up. We got to sit. Only thing going to get us pumped up with Bill is bringing his old lady to the sideline.
Hey,
Like, he got to go, man.
Kev, I want Brian Kelly for North Carolina. How do you feel about that?
No, I don't want Brian Kelly nowhere near my team.
Oh, come on. That wine and cheese crowd over there in Chapel Hill? Come on.
No. I don't want to go now.
Did you not watch the Netflix documentary?
So,
See that wall of wine he's got in his mansion? Brian Kelly in North Carolina, a match made in heaven.
you talking about LSU's former coach, right?
Yeah.
You know he won over 70% of his games.
You see how fake he was when he got to LSU trying to have that accent? So what you think he going to do, come to North Carolina and try to get a little southern drawl when he comes down there too? No, that's not going to work.
Hey, after 30 years of systematic academic fraud, there ain't nothing real about North Carolina.
Listen, bring back, what's his name that got all that stuff? Bring back Butch Davis.
Oh, God.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
I haven't heard that name
One
in
of
a
the
while.
archives there. Kev, appreciate the phone call, man.
Oh, my God.
Thanks,
I've never
Kev.
heard anybody say bring back Butch Davis.
He's upset. He doesn't like he doesn't like Belichick in Chapel Hill. Good stuff. Appreciate the phone call as always, Kev. But to put a bow on it, man, like you look at Virginia Tech's recruiting, they're already landing some pretty good studs. I mean, they landed Thomas Wilder, 4-star offensive tackle, class of 2026. Now, there has been some turbulence. They did lose a 3-star wide receiver recently, a 2026 commit in Carnell Warren. Look, I think there's one thing that James Franklin's going to bring, and I think that's stability. That's something, Diesel, that Virginia Tech hadn't had in a while. And you look at what he did at Penn State, that program, even though he couldn't win the big games, like it was the definition of stability, right? Like they were stable year in, year out. He took Penn State to heights it had not been, and he did a tremendous job. I think when you look at what this hire could mean, and I know you and I are both high on it, and yes, things could go wrong. It's college football. There could be downside just like there could be upside. I just think that you could see a big-time revival to national relevance, Diesel. He could build them into a contender. If he could do it in the Big Ten, why can't he do it in the ACC, right? If he leverages his recruiting, uses NIL, uses portal, I know like Dewey, everybody makes fun, but like, what if Dewey's right? What if he came in and said, hey, Dabo, this is my conference now. I'm going to show you how things are done. What if he did take Penn State to national relevance, and I mean college football playoff?
Think about it this way, Cole. It's been 21 years since Virginia Tech
what's your name?
entered the ACC. 21 years. There's people who can drink who don't remember Virginia Tech as a Big East team. They're a sleeping giant. Virginia Tech is a sleeping giant. What does the Lane Stadium hold? 70,000 fans or so? They've got one of the great traditions in college football. They've got history. People have been wanting to see another power arise in the ACC for a long time. I mean, James Franklin at Virginia Tech might be the reason Mike Norvell gets fired. If he comes in, if they give Mike Norvell another year, but he comes in and wins 9 games in his first year, which I think 9 is pushing it. And the texter did say he wins those 4 out of conference games, and then he goes 500 in conference. If you can do that, you're an 8-win football team. When was the last time Virginia Tech won 8 games?
That old Florida State would be saying, hey, y'all got any more of them Big Ten coaches that have been fired recently? You know, we'll take one ourselves. Before we run to a break, let's go back to the phone lines. Crazy Ralph wants to weigh in. What's up, Crazy Ralph?
Yeah, I just had to call in and talk about Franklin. That tells you how friggin' pathetic Shane Beamer is, that Virginia Tech didn't even want to wait around to see if he was going to get the axe by South Carolina, because they even know he's a loser up there. All this talk of him going up to Virginia Tech and getting a job and leaving South Carolina, they know he's trash. They weren't going to wait around for that. Franklin's a great hire for them because he's already been recruiting New York and New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio. It's a brilliant move. He'll be in the ACC championship within 3 years. You can mark that down just like you can mark down that I said Mike Shula was a piece of crap too. So, it's been that kind of week, fellas. I hate to keep saying I told you so, but I keep singing the same song. And I think finally people in our fan base, at least 50% of them, are waking up to the fact. But some of these losers out there, they think, oh, why would you go and fire Beamer now in this coaching pool? There's too many people hiring coaches. My heavens. These people, are they crazy? They could get a junior high football coach down there in Columbia that could coach that team up and not give up freaking 27 points in the second half. So, I don't know what to think about all this, but I sure hope that Jeremiah Donati's got somebody on the horn right now. He's got a big fat surprise for us, a Christmas surprise.
Who do you want?
That be nice, guys?
Who do you want, Ralph, as the OC?
I don't want a new OC.
Well, that's what you're going to get. You're not getting a new head ball coach this year.
Well, then I won't be happy.
Well, you're not going to be.
It's given his walking papers.
And to your point, Crazy Ralph, there's nothing that says James Franklin couldn't hire Shane Beamer on as a janitor or as a special teams coordinator. That's what he's good at.
Good point. That's a very good point, my friend. He should be like the guy that trains the kid how to go out there and retrieve the key after the kickoff. That sounds like the perfect job for him.
Turning Shane Beamer into a golden retriever on this
Ralph.
show.
Oh, my gosh. Good stuff. Thanks for the call, as always, Crazy Ralph. Good stuff. We love our callers, man. Y'all are awesome. We love when you text and, everything. But when you call, you get brownie points with us. That's good stuff.
Madcraft says, realistically, the best team James Franklin ever coached was only because he had a freak by the name of Saquon Barkley on his roster.
Well, good players do make you look like a good coach. Newsflash.
Yeah, good players make it easier to coach them up to great heights. When we come back, Cole, let's see what's going on out there in the sports world. We'll whip it around with our Daily Wires.
Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Cole, it's a huge sports news day. Let's get right to it with our Daily Wires, the buzz happening around the sports world. Last night in Monday Night Football, the Dallas Cowboys didn't crap the bed. They beat the Raiders 33-16. That's not a beat. That's not beating them. That's a beat down.
We're
Vegas.
back, baby.
Oh my
We're
God.
back.
4-5-1 are the Dallas Cowboys, and they're back, of course. They're back in the unemployment line. Dallas has Philly on Sunday at home. So let's see if they can get back to even against the Eagles on Sunday. The Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers does not need surgery to repair a fracture in his left non-throwing wrist, according to Coach Mike Tomlin. Quote, really, it's just about bracing and securing it for his comfort and safety. And then it's about how functional he is.
Still sounds not good to me.
No, I mean, you take a shot on that wrist, it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
They might have to take him out of a game. We'll see. New York Jets cornerback Chris Boyd remains hospitalized with a bullet lodged in his lung after being shot in Manhattan. Boyd, who's 29, is in critical but stable condition at Bellevue Hospital following an incident outside of a restaurant. A couple of other Jets players were there with him. But again, the bullet, as far as we know, still lodged in his lung as of today.
That's awful, man.
It's really bad. Ole Miss coach Lane Kiffin earlier today denied that he has been given an ultimatum from the administration to make a decision about his future with the Rebels. Kiffin and his Rebels 10-1 on the season. He's believed to be a top candidate, obviously, for the Florida and LSU jobs. Quote, yeah, that's absolutely not true. There's been no ultimatum, anything like that at all. So I don't know where that came from, but a lot of stuff like that comes out there. Like I said, man, we're having a blast. I love it here.
Yeah, for now.
Translation?
Adios.
Yeah. Show me the sorority houses. Approximately $200,000 in property was stolen from Shedeur Sanders' home in Cleveland after a break-in on Sunday. So he's out there getting his first reps while somebody is robbing his house.
Why is this becoming more common with NFL players? Like, can y'all not afford security? Like, I don't understand it. I guess their houses are up for grabs.
It's what you do for a living, Cole.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I need to start making my clientele current NFL players, right?
As we talked about in the last segment, James Franklin officially hired at Virginia Tech. He'll be formally introduced tomorrow morning. He said, quote, I'm honored and humbled to join the Hokie family. 27-year-old Cedric Irving Jr. has been charged with the murder of former football coach John Beam, who died Friday after being shot in the head on junior college campus in Oakland. Irving could face 50 years to life if convicted.
That's terrible, terrible. I still hate that, man.
Resistance from Michigan and Southern Cal is pausing the reported $2.4 billion private equity infusion into Big Ten football from UC Investments, which is tied to the Cal pension fund. That's really interesting. The plan called for the league to spin off a new entity, Big Ten Enterprises, which would house all league-wide media rights and sponsorship deals. In exchange, UCI would receive a 10% stake in Big Ten Enterprises. They said they would wait for unity among conference schools before proceeding.
Wow. Interesting.
What I find really interesting about that, Cole, is Cal's not in the Big Ten. Right? Cal's playing ACC ball.
Yeah, they're in the ACC.
So you've got the pension fund from an ACC school investing and trying to get 10% stake in the Big Ten, which would be, sounds like their backdoor attempts to get into the Big Ten.
Maybe so.
That's really interesting. Kansas freshman Darren Peterson, the projected number 1 pick in the next NBA draft, will miss tonight's game against Duke, in case you are watching. And finally, last night, the Hornets fell 108-110 to the Raptors. Rookie Con Knippel scored 24 points and 7 rebounds. Brandon Miller is cleared to return to basketball activities as of yesterday, but there's no set date for his return.
Diesel, we didn't get a chance yesterday to really dive into around the NFL Week 11. What happened this past weekend? Some major storylines. We put a bow on the NFL Week 11 next.
From the fields to the courts and the gridiron to the tracks.
Electrifying sports talk from start to finish.
You're going wire to wire.
With Diesel and Cole Bryson.
On the Fan Upstate.
Can you believe you got to turn the microphone on, Diesel? That helps. It helps when you do that. I hadn't done that in a while, but I'm guilty of it. I was going to say before our idiot producer didn't turn my mic on, can you believe it's already week 12 of the NFL season? Officially, week 11 is in the books, and boy, what a week it was. The only game I believe we got a chance to highlight yesterday, Diesel, and we'll lead off with this one for just a quick second, was the Panthers' 30-27 overtime win over the Atlanta Falcons. Now improving to 6-5 on the season. I've got some notes and nuggets, major storylines of what I wrote down in terms of the biggest things that happened in week 11, but you've got to start right there. You just can't, not in this market. You can't go around the NFL in 2025 without leading with the Carolina Panthers, especially when they win. Also, correct me here if I'm wrong, later in the show, we're going to re-pick their schedule as well, correct?
Yes, we are.
And we'll do that later on in the 5 o'clock hour. So around the NFL we go. The Carolina Panthers with 6 wins on the season. Here's where we start. Are the Carolina Panthers a contender in their division? Yes or no? Do you truly think they're a contender, a true contender?
Well, I mean, it's all going to come down to those 2 games that they still have
late
against
in the
Tampa.
season.
Right?
And aren't they like within 3 weeks of each other?
Yeah, they always do this with the Tampa series. They always put them in the back half of the season so that Carolina Panthers can build up a little bit of hope and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can absolutely demolish them. They can cannon fodder them into the bottom of the ocean. That's what they're setting this Carolina Panthers team up to be. But these Buccaneers, Cole, are slipping just a little bit. They've lost 2 straight against really good teams. They were not all that competitive on the road, lost by 12 on the road at Buffalo. They lost at home by 5 to Drake May and the Patriots, 28-23. And they've just been inconsistent. They've dropped 3 of their last 4 here, Cole. So imagine a scenario where in a couple of weeks, the Carolina Panthers get a win against the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
They'll play in the first round is at Carolina. The second, the rebound, the last game of the season is at Tampa.
So we start in that division as we go around the NFL, and I just want you to know, you can celebrate right now as a Panther fan. What I mean is you've got Falcons fans just slap torn up. They're torn up. This audio courtesy of our friends at 680 The Fan Diesel in Atlanta. We have Brandon Leak, home team, Brandon Leak on the show all the time. As you can hear in this audio, Atlanta is in shambles, and it's because of the Carolina Panthers, for crying out loud. What a good place to be.
It happened last night, and it didn't happen this morning. Raheem's not losing his job during the season. Like, there was no more appropriate time than we just lost our 5th in a row. We blew a 14-point home lead. We just got swept by the Panthers, and we lost back-to-back weeks in overtime. I'm going to make a
Sorry about that.
He's going to make a what?
change. Like, if it would have happened last night, I would not have been surprised at all. Had it happened this morning, I wouldn't have been surprised at all. It didn't happen, which tells me a couple of things. Arthur Blank, like a lot of owners, they like to hold out as long as possible because there's ego involved. I don't want to admit I'm wrong. And there's also part of it, like, just from a operational standpoint, he might think there's nothing to be gained. The season's dead and buried. We're 3-7. The quarterback's hurt. The roster's a mess. What do we gain other than I can tell everybody we're putting Olbrich in charge as the interim? It doesn't change a thing. So if it happens, it's not happening during the season. That last night and this morning were the times to do it. The rest of the season is just, you're going to play Kirk Cousins football against a bunch of games and teams that don't really matter at this point. So what's the gain of doing it in 2 or 3 weeks? Nothing.
I think a big part of this potentially is the Penix injury, that if it were still a whole roster and whole 2 deep and you still had Michael Penix, I wonder if there could have been a move made. I don't think it's Arthur's want, and it's certainly in his history to do it. It's his last resort. I wonder if Michael Penix being hurt and the thought that maybe he's out for the year, and that could be what it is.
Diesel, the Carolina Panthers have the Atlanta Falcons in shambles right now as we go around the NFL. Like, think about that. For as bad as the Panthers have been, as tough as it's been to be a Carolina Panther fan, think about this. You've got that fan base in shambles. Atlanta Sports Talk Radio, they don't know what to do because of the Carolina Panthers.
Well, they thought with the full commitment to Penix over the season, we are turning the page. We are making a run. We are making those strides and improvements as a franchise. And having your quarterback hurt, that changes everything. But it's not as if J.J. McCarthy is a bum, right? You brought him in to be the starter, and he just got supplanted. He just got beat out by somebody that was better. I think they could still win a handful of games down the stretch. Let me see if I can pull up real quick the Falcons' remaining schedule. Let's see how tough it is. Oh, on the road at the Saints. That's a win. Should be. Jets. That's a win. Seahawks. That's probably a loss, right? They're 7-3. They're a pretty good team. Then they have, let's see, Buccaneers, Cardinals, Rams, and Saints again. You're talking about what still looks like at least 4 winnable games down the stretch. I know that's not going to help you out. It puts you at 7-10 over the course of the season, but it's not the worst in a season where you lost your quarterback at the midway point.
How about the Tampa Bay Buffalo game? I really thought, you talk about Tampa Bay being in the Carolina Panthers division. I thought this would be a make-or-break game for Tampa Bay. The Bills win 44-32. No defense on Sunday. The Bills are now 7-3. The Bucs are 6-4 after the loss. Josh Allen explodes offensively. So, like, going back to the conversation about can the Panthers be a contender, I know it's Josh Allen, but the Tampa Bay's defense doesn't look great, Diesel. Josh Allen accounted for 6 total touchdowns, 3 passing, 3 rushing in the Bills' 44-32 win. Dual threat performance, right? So now the Bills are looking like the Bills again, but then you just wonder with Bryce Young doing what he did, throwing for 400-plus yards, and Tampa Bay's defense not looking rock solid. Maybe, just maybe, it's not just a question that's asked on local radio. Yeah. Maybe the Panthers can be a true contender in the division.
Well, Tampa on the road has consistently given up a lot of points. Gave up 32 against the Bills. On the road against the Saints, I mean, that's an anomaly right there. They only gave up 3. But then they gave up 24 on the road at Detroit. They gave up 25 on the road at the Eagles. So this team away from home plays horrible defense. That was against the Seahawks, and they gave up 35 points. They play horrible defense on the road. So if Bryce Young, like we talked about yesterday, can figure out a way not to put up 440 again like he did.
Just consistent.
But if he can put up 275, 250 a week with Rico Dowdle, you tell me that team is not going to push a lot of teams that are better than them for wins.
And then my biggest takeaway in the AFC was the AFC West. What happened Sunday in the AFC West? The Denver Broncos are 9-2. Let that sink in. And then on the flip side, the Los Angeles Chargers also in the division. They're still second in the division. But, Diesel, they got drugged by the Jacksonville Jaguars yesterday, or Sunday rather. So the AFC West, to me, looks really fascinating right now. You look at the division control the Broncos have with their 22-19 win over the Chiefs. With the Broncos and the Patriots both at 9-2, both vying for the top seed, I think the playoff picture in the AFC is just fascinating. Those are 2 of the best teams, not just in the AFC, but in football. The Denver Broncos, yes, Indianapolis is still Indianapolis. They're, 8-2 on the season. Pittsburgh leads the North. The North don't look nearly as strong as we thought it would be in 2025. But think about it like this. Buffalo's looking back like the Buffalo team we all expect them to be. New England and Denver are both 9-2. With young quarterbacks. I mean, what a time to be a young quarterback right now in the AFC. Denver and New England, Diesel, those might be the two best teams, not just in the AFC, but in football.
Yeah, well, you look around a lot of the other AFC teams, you got a handful of older quarterbacks out there, man. Tua is not as young as he once was. Aaron Rodgers is old. Lamar Jackson starting to get old. Cincinnati's got an old quarterback. I mean, they've got some age on some of these quarterbacks. I think we're seeing a shift towards younger and younger players. Bo Nix just playing out of his mind.
Unbelievable.
Drake May playing out of his mind. Remember, wasn't that long ago, Cole, when people thought Drake May was a bust?
Oh yeah,
And they didn't give him enough time. Look
Hey.
at him now.
Look at the right coaching. Look what coaching does for you, right? I mean, you talk about Mike Vrabel coming in after Gerard Mayo, the 1-year stint didn't work out, and Mike Vrabel comes in. And yeah, to your point, Drake May looks like a really good quarterback, and I love Drake May and Bo Nix. But we how many times have we said how important is it when you talk about a young quarterback being in the right situation, having the right head coach, having the right OC? And you look at two guys in Sean Payton and Mike Vrabel, what they're doing. Like, I'm not saying it's all of them, but I'm telling you, man, when you look at the success of Drake May and the success of Bo Nix, look at who their head coaches are. Sean Payton Diesel simply is one of the best coaches in the history of the National Football League. I'll stand by that. Mike Vrabel, we all know how good he was as a player. He understands the game. I'm just telling you, if you want a young quarterback to succeed, you better make sure you have a pretty good coach paired with him as well.
I'm surprised we haven't seen more of a straight up trade for trade with young quarterbacks, guys that came out within a year or two of each other. You just go ahead and trade them. If both of them are struggling where they are, you trade them with the time left on their deal and see if you can't reshuffle those deck chairs, shake things up a little bit, and find a combination that works. I'm shocked that you don't see that more often, considering, usually, right away if somebody's going to be elite. Look at Jaden Daniels last year. Took Bo Nix a little bit of time. It's taken Drake May just a little bit of time. But how many guys have we talked about who need that second coordinator, that second head coach, or third head coach to find that rhythm and find the right combo of people? These were all really good quarterbacks coming out of college.
Sure.
Give them a chance in a different scenario, different city, different coordinator, different head coach, and see what shakes out rather than, basically writing them off as nothing.
Standout stats, Diesel. Week 11 around the NFL. Josh Allen, 6 touchdown game. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 6 touchdown game for Josh Allen. Also a standout. The Panthers erase a 14-point deficit on the road and win in overtime. Also, the Dolphins say, hey, I can play in overtime as well. And across the pond, they do. They win overseas in overtime. Don't look now, but the Dolphins heard us talking about how they needed to fire Mike McDaniel, and they've won 3 of 4, Diesel. The Dolphins look like a competitive football team all of a sudden.
Well, let's remember it's the Commanders without their quarterback, okay? These are two really bad football teams. Both of them were 3-7 going into this game.
Yeah, but
somebody has to win.
I guess you're right.
They won in a 2-touchdown fashion, i.e. the Commanders put up 1 in the third, the Dolphins put up 1 in the fourth, and they just traded field goals for the rest of the game. And they needed overtime to do it.
And I'm still coming to Madcraft. I've got to get an answer on his Chargers. I'm still going to get to that in just a second. But then you also look at what the Broncos did holding off the Chiefs. Are the Chiefs, Diesel, are the Chiefs officially? I mean, we talked about this to open the season because guess what? It was the biggest storyline to open the NFL season. Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson both not being the quarterbacks that we thought they would be. And just look at the AFC right now. The Kansas City Chiefs, 3rd in the AFC West at 5-5.
The Chiefs have had a tough run the last couple of weeks. They had a road game at the Bills, road game at the Broncos, obviously lost both of those games. Then they faced the Colts at home. The Colts are white hot. The Colts are probably going to win that football game. They're probably not going to get a win until next week against Dallas.
No. I don't know what you're talking about. Things are going to continue to get tough. Kansas City, though, like you watch them. Travis Kelce looked good Sunday. He wasn't the problem, Diesel. Patrick Mahomes wasn't the problem. They just don't have that electrifying run game. The Chiefs, man, 5-5 on the season. And then also you go back and look at the Baltimore Ravens, 5-5. Who would have thought? It'd be the 18th day of November in 2025, and we'd be talking about both the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs at 5-5. What a time to be alive. And then the Eagles, Diesel, a standout stat from week 11, the Eagles defense forcing Lions. What were the Lions in fourth down scenarios on Sunday night? 0 for 5.
Ooh.
The Detroit Lions did not look like they had a pulse offensively against the Philadelphia Eagles. Big storyline, Lane Johnson out for Philadelphia this coming Sunday against Dallas in Dallas. And now playoff seed probabilities, the Patriots 46% chance to get to the AFC Conference Championship, number 1 with the Broncos in there as well. So a lot to look forward to, but I want to know from Madcraft before we put a bow on this Around the NFL segment, where's Madcraft? Where's Madcraft's his excuses on what happened to the Chargers, who are now 7-4 after a 35-6 beatdown from Jacksonville? Where is Madcraft? Can we put out an APB on this guy right now?
Madcraft just commented about 30 minutes ago on the stream. So, Madcraft, we need to get your butt back in there, and we need you answering questions.
I can tell you what, all kidding aside, You've let the Denver Broncos take control of the division. And yes, you can still get a wild card spot because you probably feel like there's not going to be a wild card out of the North. There definitely will be a wild card out of the AFC East. Both the Patriots and the Bills will get in, right? One of them will be the division winner. But you just look around the AFC, the Chargers, I mean, you better figure out a way to get this ship right because you're 7-4. You better not let Jacksonville get hot and roll off a few and steal a wild card from you. Oh, and they have the head-to-head win over you. I mean, it was just a complete beatdown. Trevor Lawrence looked like the Trevor Lawrence of old yesterday. And I don't know. I still think there's too much talent on that Los Angeles Chargers roster and a really good coach, but they haven't impressed me in 2025, Diesel. They just haven't.
It's going to be a lot of churn over the next couple of weeks in the NFL. Excited to see if the Bears can continue their winning ways.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Oh, man, how good has it been since the Bears got their new head coach?
How dare I forget about them?
Yeah.
Look, by the way,
Caleb Williams, 193, 16 of 32 on Sunday.
And to your point about the Bears real quick, do you realize that the Bears are leading the NFC North? 7-3. Think about that, Diesel. To your point about Chicago, 7-3 Chicago Bears leading the Green Bay Packers, leading the Detroit Lions, and leading who we thought would be a much better team than 4-6 in Minnesota. Ben Johnson, what did we just talk about 10 minutes ago? Ben Johnson might have been the savior for Caleb Williams. Don't look now, but Chicago looks like one of the best teams in the NFC.
Well, speaking of saviors, let's see if Shane Beamer might be able to find his in the very next segment. We'll go into a deep dive on the South Carolina Gamecocks with Jack Veltri of Gamecock Central. That's coming your way next.
Balls in your court. Sound off now at 844-FAN-PHONE.
This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
This speech, I'm sure, will come out at halftime, and everyone thinks this is this amazing speech at halftime. It's not. Like, we won that game 6 months ago with what we did in the winter. Like, we didn't win that game because I went in at halftime and said something. Like, we built a culture, we built a character, we built a commitment to doing things the way we want to do them back in January and February.
Mike Elko, head football coach of the Texas A&M Aggies, said his team won that game 6 months ago by the level of effort that they put in over the winter. I just wonder, Jack, were the South Carolina Gamecocks players sitting around playing patty cake and hanging out, talking about life and kumbaya? Why did they not win that game 6 months ago, Jack?
I don't know, man. Look, they had it won in the first 30 minutes, but as we all know, it is not a 30-minute game. It is a 60-minute game, and you got to finish, and it doesn't matter what the score is. Obviously, judging by the fact they were up by 27 points at halftime, was not enough to win this game, and you got to go out there and play better in the second half, and you were not able to. You left the door a little bit open for A&M. It was barely cracked, but once A&M got something going, they blew it open and never looked back.
Jack, yesterday, man, sometimes I know this might be hard to believe, but sometimes I don't have the words for certain things. And yesterday I just said, look, I think frustration's the only thing that you have if you're a Gamecock fan. And I simply didn't have the words. I went back and watched the game again, and one more time, didn't have the words. How can you put into words what happened? You talked about leaving the door open, leaving a crack in the door, and what you witnessed. I'm sure this has to be at the all-time top of the worst choke job list.
Yeah, this is definitely, in my opinion at least, it's probably the worst loss that I think Shane has had here as head coach of South Carolina. Not because you didn't really, I think on the outside, people didn't expect South Carolina to win this game. I think most people, including myself, certainly didn't feel that was going to be the case. But give them a lot of credit. They believed, and they went out there thinking that they could. And Shane even talked about it during his little first quarter interview there, saying that, we beat this team by 24 points last year. We know we can do it again this year. And, for a little bit there, it looked like they were definitely on the way to doing that. But, yeah, just that second half, it's hard to wrap my mind around how good they played in the first half and how terrible they played in the second half. It was a tale of two completely different games wrapped into one for South Carolina, and you get the result that you do in the end.
Jack, what did you see from Texas A&M in the first half? I mean, because for them to even be in that position, they had to play their worst half of football all season long, and that's an anomaly from them. Scoring 28 second half points, that's not an anomaly for A&M. They've scored 24 points or more in the second half, now 4 games in a row. That's who they are. They score and they keep scoring all game long, especially in the second half. I know A&M kind of shot themselves in the foot a couple of times, but also South Carolina did a phenomenal job of creating those scenarios. How do you think it was that they just couldn't recreate even a small portion of that in the second half?
I think they had their chances early on in that second half to kind of not putting the game away might be too strong of a term because there was still so much time left to go. But I will say it would have put a damper on A&M's chances to come back if South Carolina had gotten the stop on 4th and 12 on that first drive where Marcel Reed scrambled up the middle and gets the first down to lead A&M down the field on their first touchdown drive of the game. And then the following drive after that score, not getting it on 4th and 1, turning the ball over on downs at the A&M 30-yard line. I feel like those two sequences right there were an absolute killer for South Carolina in that game. And if those things go South Carolina's way, I think we're looking at a much different game in a lot of respects. Because all South Carolina really needs to do was, you don't want to – the game should not have come down to them needing a field goal to win it at the end. Like that should not have been the case at all. You get some plays early in that second half, get a stop here, stop there, you probably win this game. The fact of the matter is The defense did not get a stop on the first 4 drives of the second half, all touchdowns for A&M. And South Carolina's offense, like they have most of the season, went 3 and outs, 3 and out, 3 and out. Just a very disappointing second half.
At what point, Jack, when you were watching the game, like you talked about the 3 and outs, that they were horrendous. The offensive line in the second half was horrendous, and I mean capital H horrendous. At what point, though, watching, did you feel like, oh my God, this is about to happen?
It's funny. I've mentioned this to a few folks now. I was in College Station actually in April for, if y'all remember, that awful baseball series that South Carolina played, and they had a 12-2 lead in the 5th inning and ended up losing that game 15-12. Gave up 2 grand slams I think in the bottom of the 9th inning. So I remember that when I was watching this game on Saturday in person, being right back there in College Station. After A&M scored the second touchdown, I got that feeling of the baseball game where I'm just like, oh boy, A&M's going to come back here, aren't they? And you got the crowd. It's not even just the fact that A&M was playing well. You got the crowd back into it, and it was 108,000 people in there. I mean, that is, I think, as tough of a place to play in college football, as you'll see just with how loud it gets there. That's where I kind of thought, like, okay, South Carolina is kind of in trouble here after they got the second touchdown following the 4th and 1 turnover on downs.
Well, Jack, you know what you have to do. Next time South Carolina plays anything on the road at Texas A&M, you have to stay home to see if maybe it's you.
Oh, yeah. No, I've had this conversation now with some folks. I think I've added it up now. I've made 3 football trips there and 1 baseball series. I'm 0-6 lifetime going to Texas A&M.
Man.
Yeah, you might want to stay at home.
So Jack, how does a team recover from that kind of a tough loss? I mean, that's got to be mentally draining to have that kind of lead, to give it up. Now they're on a 5-game losing streak. Do you think this team, with everything else that's swirling around, with the new offensive coordinator hire, possible thoughts of Shane Beamer maybe losing his job, is this team mentally prepared to play on Saturday against the Coastal team that's playing pretty good?
Well, we're going to find out. That's the first way I'd go about putting it. Is we can say all we want of we think this, we think that. Well, we need to know. We'll find out more on Saturday if this team is mentally ready. But what we can gather from what the coaches and the players and past history tell us is that South Carolina will be able to overcome this mental hurdle of lost 5 games in a row, suffered just an absolute gut-wrenching loss on the road in a game that you should have won. You're not going bowling now for the second time in 3 years. I mean, there's a lot here that's like, it would be easy for us to say, like, you know, I'm gonna sit this one out. I'm done. You know, I'm checking out mentally. Maybe you're still playing, but you're mentally checked out. I'm giving up on the season because we got nothing to play for at this point. Like, who cares about the Clemson game next week? I'm not even from this state. I could see that being the case for maybe like just any guy on the team, but I don't think that's going to be what happens. I think South Carolina is going to come out here playing some, you know, hopefully this game gets them going a little bit against Coastal Carolina, and you take that and you snowball into next week against Clemson, a rivalry game that still means a lot to some people, and you go out there and try to win it and end this season on a high note, and then you shift your focus to 2026.
Talking to Jack Veltri of Gamecock Central right here on the Fan Upstate. Gamecock fans, if you have a question for Jack, you can get it in at 844-326-3663. What was your biggest takeaway from the weekend itself? I mean, you had the rumors about, you know, Beamer and Clayton White, you know, having to be separated in a heated exchange. You go into, you know, the rumors about Shane Beamer flying back private, you know, with nobody else. And then all of that culminates and leads into the Beamer's press conference today, where he joked about him and Clayton White getting into it. Where do you stand on all that has happened this weekend leading into today's presser?
Well, I did not know about that rumor that you just mentioned, the second one, with Shane flying back solo. I did not. I've not heard that one, Cole. So that's definitely give me a good laugh there, man. The whole fight thing was so stupid to begin with. I mean, obviously, Shane and Clayton joked about it today. It was funny. Clayton he didn't speak to us today, but he kind of like came in to say what's up, and he kind of like put like his fists in the air as a funny joke because of that whole fight thing that got thrown around online. Look, I don't even know where the heck that started. Probably some burner account online or whatever, just trying to make up stupid things just because. But yeah, look, I think there's a lot going wrong right now on the field for South Carolina, and it's easy to imagine that things are going wrong internally, but Shane continues to harp on it, that they have a really good culture, really good foundation, and things aren't going well right now. But as he said multiple times, and nobody listening wants to hear this, is they're not that far away, and they're close to being right back to where they want to be. So I think they're going to be fine moving forward. But yeah, it's just kind of funny to see some of the rumors that you hear online. Don't believe everything you read is my take on it.
Yeah, Jack, we started the show asking the question, because when the season is going this poorly, you should look at everything. You shouldn't take anything for granted about Clayton White and whether or not his job is secure at South Carolina. I know that a lot of people think really highly of Clayton White, and I think it would be probably a bridge too far to have Shane Beamer replacing both his OC and DC in what could be a season that ultimately ends your tenure there as a head coach. But you still have to be cognizant of the fact this is the 12th ranked defense in the SEC. Do you think there's any possibility that, maybe Torian Gray, who's the DB's coach, or Sterling Lucas, linebackers coach, any of those guys, there might be some shuffling on that side, sort of underneath Clayton White?
I don't think so. I think the defense is kind of, I know the numbers may not say great overall, but the defense has definitely done its part at times to keep South Carolina in games. Now, whatever happened in the second half on Saturday is an anomaly in that. But just look at what the defense did in the first half as well. I think people are going to quickly forget that this defense shut down this A&M offense for that entire first half. You could say that A&M dropped passes, etc. Marcel Reed didn't play like himself. Okay, he still threw 2 interceptions, and South Carolina kept A&M out of the end zone. So we know this defense can play well. Do I think there's going to be shuffling? I don't know. I think it depends on what happens with Clayton White after the season. I don't think he's going anywhere, honestly. I think it'd be more so like if a head coaching vacancy, which we know there are a lot of them, are open, would he get any interest from any schools about? So we have this conversation every year, honestly, about is Clayton White going to go here? Is he going to go there? I think he's going to be here moving forward, and he's got a really good staff, honestly. So things may not be going well after that A&M game, but I certainly have my thoughts that this defense is going to be fine moving forward.
Jack, do you feel as if Shane Beamer's lost a fan base?
I will say this. I think there are some that definitely will still support him through and through, regardless of what happens. Like, people love Shane Beamer here, and things can easily turn around very quickly into that loving feeling that we saw last year, where he's the man around here and he could do no wrong. But we've seen kind of over this last month, quite frankly, kind of since the Oklahoma game, I feel like things have kind of turned into this snowball effect of people are kind of frustrated with him. They're kind of over him. And then you have people out there that's saying he needs to be fired. So I would say it's not completely like lost the fan base, but I would say this, like if these next 2 games go really wrong and you finish the year 3-9, then that's the conversation of, oh, well, I mean, how are the people that have always supported him feeling about a 3-9 season? So I would say it's kind of a split, but definitely he's probably lost a few supporters recently just with how A&M that game went on Saturday.
Well, our texter Jacob says Shane Beamer lost him last year. So there's one right there for you, Jack. Right on cue. It was a big deal when a couple weeks ago when Dabo Sweeney joked about Graham Neff being in the room at press conferences after that Duke loss. What can you tell us about Jeremiah Donati, and is he Is he making himself more present and more visible, or is he kind of operating under the same general MO that he had been, prior to this stretch of 5 really tough games?
It's funny. He travels for the road games with the team and all that. So he's there, like he's around and he sees what's going on. So it's not like he's, back in his office, locked in his, wherever he's at, and just kind of lurking behind the shadows. Like it's not like that. He's there, he's present. And it's funny, like after, during he was there during Shane's press conference on Saturday, which I thought was pretty interesting because at least for road games, I have not seen that before. So I thought that was a little bit interesting that he kind of stood in the back and just kind of watched. But yeah, I think with everything moving forward, I wonder how much involvement there will be from Jeremiah. Like Shane's going to have the final say on who gets hired and whatnot, and it'll go through him. But he did say today, I actually asked him about that, who has the input in this hiring process just besides you. And he did say he'll talk to his bosses like Jeremiah and Jeff Crane and even get some input from his coaches and players. So that's kind of where I see things going moving forward.
And I guess I'll go back to the text line, Jack. Keith and TR ask, and this, you kind of answered this, but Keith's text reads, what's the percentage chance that if we lose Saturday, Shane Beamer finally gets canned? You say?
If he gets oh, man.
Coastal, baby. Coastal.
Coast. Don't sleep on Coast. That's a good little Sunbelt program. I'm going to say 0. I'm going to say 0.
Wow.
I don't see it happening.
Whoa.
I know things are bad right now, but we got to think optic-wise here, man. Like, they could finish this year 3-9, right? But my question I always pose to people when they say, oh, let's fire this guy, let's fire that guy. All right, that's great. Who are you going to hire? Who are you going to hire? And the other question I think you need to ask is, first off, it costs $28 million to fire Shane Beamer after this season. So that's a hefty, sum of money, plus not to mention all the coordinators and other people on staff you got to probably get rid of beyond that. And you got to hire a new coach, which my other point is, who are you going to hire? But also, I mean, where is South Carolina even that good of a job compared to Penn State, LSU, Florida, the current jobs in the market? No, I don't think so. It's an SEC job, but it's not as desirable as these other places.
Well, Jack, I'm going to bring this up just because it was brought up with Florida State when the AD came out and said, "Oh, we support Mike Norvell." Are you saying in any way, shape, or form that South Carolina and its fans and its boosters don't have the money to come up with to pay for the $28 million buyout?
I would imagine so. It's not so much like they can't pay the buyout. I don't think that is what I'm getting at here. I'm just saying $28 million is a lot of money, and that may affect how you do things moving forward. I mean, people are, putting their money into this program right now, but that doesn't mean they have to, right? So we'll see. I think I don't think money's necessarily the object of this. If they wanted to fire Shane Beamer after the season, they certainly could. But I think more so what I'm trying to say here is I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt of going out here, fixing it, getting his offensive coordinator right, getting the O-line coach right, bringing in players from the transfer portal, signing your high school recruiting class, and putting this product on the field next year. Because I do agree with him to some extent of they really are not that far off from being where they want to be. They have to nail the coordinator hire. That's more important than anything, in my opinion. And then you have to add some good players from the portal.
Jack, you're the best, man. As always, appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Looking forward to it, guys. See you then.
Jack Veltri, Gamecock Central. Diesel, I have 2, not 1, but 2 absolute wild stats for you and the Tolos, college football related, in the next segment. See if you, I don't know, man. Sometimes you see things, you have to fact check them just to see if they're true, see if you buy what I'm going to try to present to you. College football, 2 wild stats I'll throw your way next. Diesel, you know who Julian Sayin is, right?
Yeah, pretty solid quarterback, doing big things this year.
Okay. I don't know if you realize that Julian Sayin on the season is 226 of 282.
Sounds pretty good. Is that good?
That's pretty good. Through his first 5 games this year, he only had 25 incompletions. Right now, we're on the 18th day of November. Julian Sayin has 56 incompletions on the season. A completion percentage, which, by the way, equates to 80.1. I don't know if you can find the quarterback that's had this much success with completion percentage throughout the majority of the season, because that's what it is now. It is the majority of the season, 25 touchdowns. And I know going into the Saturday's game against Oklahoma, you and I talked about it with Alabama's quarterback. Only what was it, a 25 touchdown to 1 interception ratio, I believe is what it was at the time, which, by the way, is super impressive. But you tell me right now and I know Fernando Mendoza's been incredible. He's been very efficient. But you tell me who's got better statistics in 2025. This guy's incredible right now. 25 touchdowns to 4 interceptions.
Yeah, Ty Simpson, 22 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions.
He threw 1 Saturday, I think.
Just under 2,800 yards. So Ty Simpson's got Julian Sayin by about 100 yards.
Yeah.
Julian Sayin's got a couple of more picks. I'm going to bring up a quarterback call in the next segment of the show. We're going to do the early leans for the upset picks challenge.
Yeah.
A quarterback that you've not heard of this year that is already over 3,000 passing yards for the season, not a career, for the season. I'm going to bring that up. But yeah, these 2 quarterbacks are so very impressive. Now, when you're talking about Ohio State, it certainly helps that you have the best receiving corps in the country. It helps. Yeah. It helps when you got guys that are like vacuums out there that will pick up literally anything that you throw their way.
Jeremiah Smith's incredible. We all know that. But my gosh, man, on his career, like, he didn't play at all last year. He was 5 of 12 last year. Will Howard had that thing pretty much locked up. But when you just talk about a quarterback in Julian Sayin that's playing at an elite level, again, to your point, 2,675 yards, 25 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a quarterback rating of 186.2. I think it's going to be incredibly challenging when the season comes to an end here in a few weeks to go find the Heisman Trophy winner. I do, because I know, like, the Heisman Trophy guys aren't who we expected them to be. It's not Nussmeier. It's not Klubnik. It's not Arch Manning. But you decide between Ty Simpson, Julian Sayin, and Fernando Mendoza. I think that's going to be something that's pretty difficult to do, Diesel.
Yeah, and it begs the question, is it more impressive to do it at a place where they have extremely high expectations and history of players doing this year in and year out, or is it more impressive to do it somewhere that doesn't have the history, like a Fernando Mendoza?
If you had to give the trophy right now to somebody, you hand it over out of your hands, who would you give it to? I'm giving it to Mendoza, me personally. I'm going Fernando.
That's a really hard question. It's a really hard question. Can I put their names in a hat and just draw one?
Yeah,
you could do it that way. That might be how the voters are going to have to do it.
Could be.
When we come back, just teased it. Let's get into our upset picks, early leans, some games that we're interested in. I'll try to talk Cole out of his early leans. He'll try to talk me out of mine.
Upstate.
Well, this time tomorrow, our text line going to be absolutely buzzing with Tolos getting in their upset picks. We'll be an hour in to the week number 13, Cole. Make
Let's
that
go.
make sense. Week 13 upset picks. That's going to be is something in queue over there. Anything in queue? Nope.
Say it again.
Never mind. Just bad connection on the headphones. You jiggle the handle a little bit, and it takes care of everything. Tolos, welcome into an off-the-air conversation brought live onto the air. But the question is, who are you going to be picking? Who are you thinking about right now as we are 23 hours away from the beginning of the Upset Picks Challenge? I got a couple games that I'm interested in. I'm not in love with anything at the moment, Cole, but maybe some time, maybe some opportunity to marinate on it, and some lines moving might change my mind.
Hey,
here.
real quick, the wild stat as we do these upset pick early leans. Today marks the first time, this week marks the first time you and I are trying to both hit 2 weeks in a row.
How about that?
Last week was the first time all season that you and I hit on the same week. We had not done that. So we are getting, you Tolos say, oh, y'all suck at this challenge. You're no good. We're getting better. We're getting better. We both hit. Diesel hit on.
I hit on Arizona over Cincinnati.
And I hit on Virginia. Tony Elliott saved me, man. So we're getting hot.
Well, I think
Look out.
both of us now are insured. I know you are, but I think I am insured to not finish with 0 points.
And that's better than finishing with 0 points, right?
Yeah, at
So,
least you could say you hit 3 times. You just
That's
couldn't.
right.
You just couldn't link them together.
That's right.
Let's look at some of these games, Cole. See if any of these might be interesting.
Leans, baby.
Again, I tend to take games that are, within about 7.5, 8 points or less. I love to pick home dogs that have a 500 record or better. So that's why, Cole, I'll start with this one. Florida State, 5-5 football team at NC State, 5-5 football team. NC State are 4.5-point home dogs to Tommy Castellanos and the Florida State Seminoles.
I saw this one.
Thing is, NC State plays atrocious defense most of the time. They've given up a lot of points. They gave up last couple games, 41 points in a loss to Miami, 36 in a win against Georgia Tech. They gave up 53 at Pitt. They gave up 36 at Notre Dame. You go back the week before that, it was Campbell, so it doesn't really count. But over the past 4 weeks, they've been averaging giving up somewhere around 50 points, which is awful.
I do not hate this on a upset pick lean segment. Which way are you leaning? By the way, Tolos, let us know which way you're leaning at 844-326-3663. That's what we're doing if you just tuned in. Which way are you leaning for the upset picks challenge?
Nice song choice.
You like that? All right, so here's the deal with Florida State, NC State. It's a Friday night game. You mentioned both teams are 5-5. One of these teams is going to walk out with their third ACC win.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, man, I know this sounds crazy. I believe in CJ Bailey more than I do Tommy Castellanos.
Really?
I just do. I think NC State's in a good spot here. Both quarterbacks have underwhelmed, but no, I don't hate this one at all. I think CJ Bailey's been interception happy, but he's thrown 19 touchdowns.
2,500 yards on the season.
It's not bad.
They got a running back named Hollywood Smothers. That might be one of the great names in college football this year.
It needs to be like sponsored by Waffle House or something,
Right?
I
like that one, but
4.5 points.
It's only 4.5.
That's right.
So somebody who needs to make up some points might not pick it, but if you've already got a pretty good number of points, if you're up in there in that 30, 40 plus point range, you might take this one because it feels like one of the safer picks.
Is this number one on your list?
I think so at the moment.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all, man. I'm not going to talk you out of this one. By the way, again, Friday night game, Florida State, NC State.
Dan says on the stream, Dan B, here's what I'm not going to pick, and that would be Missouri plus 7.5 at Oklahoma. Missouri has only won one true road game this year.
And without
Oklahoma, without Prebula, Oklahoma looked really good last week, beat Alabama. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't either, man. Oklahoma, I mean, they just look good right now. By the way, John Dog on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line says, leaning away from Cole's pick. Well, John Dog, I hit last week. Thank you.
Taking shots, man. Darth Chosen taking shots at you. He says Cade, I misread this. I thought he said Cole is also a vacuum because he sucks.
No,
Cade
Klubnik
is a vacuum.
Just don't lump me into that Cade Klubnik slander. I don't hate this one, though.
Dewey says Coastal plus 23.5 over South Carolina. I put it on my list, Cole. I put it on my list as maybe worth taking a flyer on.
God, are we going to go there?
I'm thinking about going there.
Go there?
Maybe head coach gets fired if they lose.
Are
this
we
game.
really going there right now?
Second game with a new OC. Last week, maybe they just got really lucky in the first half of that game. And maybe it was because A&M played really terrible, not because South Carolina played all that great.
And here we are in the early lean segment talking about Coastal Carolina possibly upsetting South Carolina. Like, there's just no way, right?
Honestly, I think that one's worth the risk of 23.5 points. Think about it, though. You all this talk about Lenore Sellers possibly hitting the transfer portal. Some other guys might be thinking about hitting the transfer portal. At least they're bummed out over the way the A&M game went.
And Diesel, I think I would agree on this. It's worth the risk because if it were, it's 23.5, probably not going to happen. But if it does, you're talking about making a late season leap in the upset pick standings, and it would be worth it. Now, I don't trust Coastal Carolina enough. Do I trust South Carolina a ton? No, not really. But I just don't trust Coastal enough to take the risk. I will tell you, I looked at it, but I'm not going to take this one.
Okay. Well, hey, if you need something that's worth some points,
and
you want more than about 5.5, 6.5 points, maybe you'd look at taking Old Dominion on the road at Georgia Southern. Plus 11.5.
A little fun belt.
Georgia Southern's defense isn't quite there, but both of these teams offensively are pretty comparable. They're both up there in that high 20s, 30s, occasionally in the 40s range on a week-in, week-out basis. Georgia Southern was just in a shootout win on the road at Coastal Carolina.
Yeah.
So maybe you got a team there that's got a little confidence under their belt because, well, they just did it on the road against a pretty good Coastal team.
Could be. And by the way, Tolo's quick, just a random note. There are games tonight, but tonight's games are not eligible. The Maction games. You cannot pick them.
Are you talking about the UMass game where they're 33.5 point dogs?
Now it's 34.
34
and a half.
Oh my God. 0-10 UMass Minutemen.
Yeah, that's good. You can, though. You are allowed to pick the two Wednesday night games. Tomorrow, Maction, Miami versus Buffalo, Central Michigan, Kent State. And then, hey, how about this? No interest here. Well, it's only worth 2.5. Never mind. Yeah. I was going to say Louisiana, Arkansas State, but it's only worth 2.5.
Well, here's the one, Cole, that I was talking about. I teased in the last segment when I said there's an elite quarterback in this game.
Okay.
Delaware. The Blue Hens are 17.5 point dogs at Wake Forest for some reason. Wake, I know they've won 7 games already, but they haven't really impressed a whole lot of teams. Delaware has a quarterback, Nick Minicucci. Minicucci, who's thrown already for over 3,000 yards this season. How would you say it? It's Minicucci. Not a big coochie, a mini coochie.
Oh, my gosh. I've got to get this. I'm glad the phone.
He doesn't want to get fired for this.
I've never ran to the phones as fast as I did.
You're looking at the rundown. You see the name on the rundown. How would you say it?
Let me look again. Hold on. Let me look. Now, I always pronounce names wrong. That you understand. I would pronounce it. Yeah.
Unless it's like Minnesoosi?
Minnesoosi. No, but there's no C-U-C-C-I that is Susi, right? I don't think that would – Minicucci.
It's Minicucci.
Oh, my gosh.
It's Minicucci.
That's where we are. Welcome to Wire to Wire.
Well, this Minicucci's throwing 3,000 yards plus through 10 games. The dude's been on fire. They just have no defense whatsoever.
Oh, my gosh. Do we have time to run the Tom in Somerville real quick?
Tom, do you know how to pronounce this player's name?
It's the Delaware quarterback,
right? It's the Delaware quarterback. Yeah. It's Minicucci.
It's Minicucci. And if y'all would watch
Tuesday and Wednesday night football on the regular, you would know how to pronounce it. I'm just going off of how the ESPN announcers say it, and I've heard a bunch of different things, but it is definitely Minicucci. And that dude is a warrior. He's a dog. He's a dog. He don't care. He just goes out there and plays football. Like, he's just a blue-collar quarterback.
Dog.
Yeah, he's a dog. And,
He's a dog.
What I was calling to complain about, since a lot of people today on a lot of people today on Twitter have had complaints, but my complaint since today's National Complaint Day, I guess, is, why aren't the Tuesday and Wednesday games in the upset pick challenge?
The Wednesdays
are, Tom. That doesn't open till Wednesday. If the store doesn't open till Wednesday, do you buy things from the store on Tuesday?
You just go to another store.
Well, go to another store.
Well, maybe next year we open it up on Tuesdays because,
excuse us,
we get those Conference USA games and the MAC games, some Sun Belt in there. Like, these games are competitive and they're fun to watch.
Tom,
and when you ain't
nobody picks those games. Almost nobody picks the Wednesday night action games.
You're right, but I'll watch them, and I wanted to pick a game tonight because you never know. The old Minutemen might get it done, but then again, they're not very good.
What you should do is, Tom, you should download Prize Picks and enter promo code Cole, and then you can take more or less on Minicucci tonight.
Well, I've already got my play put in for tonight, and Parker Navarro, the Ohio quarterback, if you have not watched him play, the dude's a baller, and he will have a rushing touchdown.
Tom, how many people in the upstate of South Carolina do you think have watched Parker Navarro of Ohio in the Maction games? How many people do you think have watched that guy play?
Not enough, because the dude can play some football, and you know who he reminds me of?
Who?
In some ways, he reminds me of Tim Tebow. The way he controls the offense, the way he runs the football. We just don't see that anymore in college football. Just a blue-collar quarterback like Minicucci, control the offense and score touchdowns.
Minicucci sounds like a type of pasta that's shaped in a funny way.
It really does. From Olive Garden,
Red
right?
sauce or white sauce, though? That's the big one. That's the kicker.
That's gross to even think about.
All right. Well, I just wanted to call and say, since today was National Complaint Day for some people, that
is it really?
I had a complaint. It is. If you've been on Twitter today, Cole, you'll know what I'm talking about. People have had their complaints, so I just wanted to have mine. But
hey,
other than that,
Tom in Somerville is the guard dog of this show, and we appreciate you.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Nobody talks bad about the boys.
See you, Tom.
As always, go Gamecocks.
Thanks, Tom.
What a phone call.
Tom wants us to open this thing up to Tuesday night Maction games. Yeah. I wonder, Tolos, you tell us. Do you think that's a good idea? Should we do it? I think Dan deserves a day off. I think Dan deserves to have at least one day off.
No days off, right? Does Dan deserve a day off? What is he? So
we just need him to be fresh and ready to fly on.
He does do
his job.
So I'm assuming it takes what, like, the game's in Saturday. It probably takes him a whole day to get the list compiled. I don't know. Does it take a day? Do you know, Diesel? Does it?
I don't know what Dan's process. He could do this while he's on the toilet for all I know.
I know, but man, it looks like it would be a lot of work. I don't know that I don't know. Bill Belichick. What do you think? He says no days off. Tom's got a point, though.
But if we opened it up for the Tuesday games, the Tolos are going to just keep on picking the Clemson and South Carolina games all season long. Most people don't realize that you don't have to pick your favorite teams.
Well, you know what? That is a good point. Can I not interest you in the excitement of James Franklin being the coach and a 17.5-point dog opportunity taking on Miami? Can I not interest you in that, Diesel?
against Miami,
What's your
Virginia
name?
Tech, Miami. Maybe there's some extra juice and vibe around the program. You said that was worth how many points?
17.5 points.
Well, we're in that time of the season where you just don't know what kind of quarterback Miami is going to have on a week in, week out basis.
You don't know.
Right?
You don't know what Miami is. They're not consistent. I'm not going to take it, but I did. I did think I looked at it and said, "Huh,
Yeah,
interesting."
Carson Beck is entering in the liability portion of the season. He
Now-
could lose you some games.
I'll tell you which one I do like. Now, I'm not going to take it because it's only worth 2.5 points. I do like Louisville on the road at SMU as 2.5-point dogs coming off the loss to Clemson, an extra day to prepare. Will they lose 2 in a row? I like Louisville as the 2.5-point dog, Diesel, but again, it's 2.5 points. What are you going to do with 2.5 points? What are you doing? Let's go to the phone lines. Dewey wants to weigh in on upset picks, early leans, or maybe something completely different. We don't know. What's up, Dewey?
Oh, well, I agree with Tom. If they're playing college football on Tuesdays, then we need to be doing upset picks starting on Mondays.
You mean Tuesdays?
Well, we got to prepare for Monday night. So you tell us who's playing on Tuesday, and then we can prepare, and then we can play.
God, Tom and Dewey have taken over.
But I got a few early leans.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Probably Coastal. I don't know yet. I don't really believe South Carolina's going to stoop to that level, but they have before. They lost to the Citadel during their roughest times, and they lost to another bad team during those roughest times. And I think right now they're about as rock bottom as they were pre-Shane Beamer. So there is a decent chance. But I was looking at Oregon and USC. Now, I hate Oregon because they suck and they're overrated. I don't particularly like Southern Cal either, but they're on the upside. So that's a potential too. And then of course I want to hand it to Madcraft and Virginia Tech, and their new coach is going to demolish Miami. So I'm looking at that too. But I got to drink and study it, and then I'll have a decision later on. Probably
Drinking and some thinking.
4:00 tomorrow, Dewey.
Thanks, Dewey. Don't clog your brain up with all those beers.
Hey, let me ask you
to his point though. Southern Cal, they're on a run. They're on a 3-game win streak. They're winning close football games. Yeah, they beat the tar out of Northwestern, but come on. They needed Nebraska losing a quarterback to win that game. They beat Iowa by 5. They beat Northwestern by 21 points. But Oregon is just on another level right now. The game against Iowa was tight, but the games against Minnesota, Rutgers, I mean, they're just putting up tons of points.
I'm a little disappointed with you, though.
Me?
Yep.
Why?
You did not give Marshall App State as one of your early leans. App State at home, your App State Mountaineers. Diesel, they're a 4.5-point dog to Marshall. It's in Boone. It's Boone, baby, and you're not going to take that one. Are you kidding me?
I'm not even considering it, Cole. I might not even watch this game. I'm not going to lie to you. What? I don't even know what time it is.
2:00. No, 2:30.
I'm not even going to watch this
game. A.M.
I'm going to be on the road. I'll be 2:00 in the afternoon. 2:30. I ought to be in the press box or close to it for the South Carolina Coastal kickoff. That one's at 4. Right?
Yeah, I think so.
So I'll be in the press box, and maybe I'll have it on my phone while I'm watching the South Carolina Gamecocks lose to the little brother Chanticleers from up the road in Myrtle Beach.
Wouldn't that be like, okay, let's just go crazy. Would you, to be able to say you were at the game, or Coastal Carolina knocked off? I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm just saying.
Coastal's got a little history of beating power conference teams. Now, most of the time it's like Virginia. So it's not like they beat powerhouse programs, but it's not as like South Carolina's powerhouse program this year.
Spread on Furman Clemson, by the way. No spread for the 4:30 game.
Some Tolo's going to try to take it. Well,
there's no doubt.
I went on this private bookies website and I found a line over there. So
I found a line in Bangladesh that favored Clemson by 7. Oh, by the way, 4:15 on SEC Network for Coastal. The Battle of the Gamecocks on Saturday. Diesel, let's talk high school football. A massive, and I mean massive, slate of games this Friday night. The quarterfinals are here, and I've got audio from Reggie Shaw of Burns, Russell Blackston of BHP, Jake Morris of Dorman, Brett Sloan of Woodruff, and Donnie Littlejohn of Gaffney. I caught up with all 5 coaches today. We're going to look at the weekend slate of games this Friday night, who will advance to the Upper State Championship, and hear from those coaches. That's next. Well, quarterfinals means Diesel, the winner, is going to go play for the Upper State Championship. And boy, do we have an incredible, and I mean maybe the most incredible slate of high school football games that we've had in a long, long time for the quarterfinal third round, week 13, happening this Friday night to look at the games happening in our area, in our coverage area, also to hear from some of the coaches that are playing in those games. The slate, Diesel, you ready? Burns at Dutch Fork, Ridgeview at Dorman, Gaffney at Northwestern, Indian Land at T.L. Hanna. Camden is making the trip to Westside, Mountain View Prep at Powdersville, Belton Honeypath at Woodruff, and Fairfield Central at Clinton. That's it. 8 games on Friday. You're used to going through a lot more than 8, right?
Yeah, couldn't we have basically predicted all of these matchups early on?
Have
there been any major upsets to this point?
In terms of once the playoffs started?
Yeah. Playoff upsets.
No, I don't think so. No, I think for the most part, this is what we saw coming.
Right. I know first and second rounds, you get teams who probably shouldn't be in the playoffs getting into the playoffs. Maybe giving these teams some tune-ups and warm-ups for better opponents later on down the line. But, I mean, let's be real. We probably could have assumed or predicted most of these teams being in 2 weeks ago.
I would say the one that surprised the most people, I think, would be Daniel not being there and Camden being there instead in 3A Diesel. Daniel, we all know, a perennial power in high school football. Camden being there might have been a little bit of a surprise, but it's a really good Camden team, so no surprise there. But to your point, for the most part, these are chalk. I mean, this is kind of what we expected. Now, you've got, again, let me make sure I said that right, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games Friday. Good luck finding the winner of these. You see who I've picked thus far. Nobody, because I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to pick them. Burns Dutch Fork's a big one that you'll be able to hear right here on the Fan Upstate. We'll start with that one, Diesel. And again, I think the world of this year's Burns team, they're a really good Burns team, but how many times have we talked about on this show and on Saturday, Dutch Fork's just in a class of their own. And, man, it's going to be a tall task. Not meaning it's not possible, but a tall task for Burns to go to Columbia Friday night and find a win.
So tell me about, some of the deficiencies on this Burns team that you think Dutch Fork will probably expose on Friday.
Well, I think Dutch Fork, to answer your question, Diesel, I think Dutch Fork and Tom Knotts is going to say, look, your best player is Trey Segura. He's been offered by, I think he just picked up Notre Dame this week. He's been offered by everybody. I believe Tom Knotts is going to say, you're not running on us. You're like, we're going to make you throw it, right? Because when you are at the high school level, Diesel, one player can have a tremendous impact. I don't know. Matter of fact, here's what Reggie Shaw had to say about Trey Segura and what it'll mean for him to have a big performance on Friday against Dutch Fork.
Trey's big for us anytime. Anytime he has a big night, our chances go up. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a great opportunity for him to showcase his skills and talents on a great stage. And, Trey will rise to the occasion. I feel confident.
So to answer your question, I think Tom Knotts is going to try to limit Trey Segura and make Kane Rogers beat him with his arm. And Kane's been good, hadn't been great. Big games. He's had, he's had some turnovers, but I think that's what Tom Knotts is going to do.
So, I mean, you said it there. At a lot of times, the high school level, one great player can change the complexity of a football game. So what you're saying is Dutch Fork has the same equal talent on the defensive side of the ball to control what Burns wants to do, which is give it to Trey Segura.
I think so.
So talk about a little bit about Trey Segura's ability to get out in space. Is it they're gonna overload the box and make him bounce it outside? Does he have the ability, if they're not running the ball effectively up the middle, to catch the ball out in space and go create?
I think that's the $1 million question that is going to be on the shoulders of Jordan Dura, the offensive coordinator for Burns Diesel, that if they're running up the middle and that's not working, guess what? You've got to figure out a way to get the ball or keep the ball in Segura's hands, but other ways, whether that be to the outside, whether that be throwing the ball to Trey. Trey Segura is way too impactful of a player not to get him the football. So to answer your question, it's on Jordan Dura and that offensive staff to figure out different ways to do that. Here's what Reggie Shaw said on Dutch Fork and the defense and kind of, what changes you might have to make if you're Burns offensively.
Well, I mean, I don't think it changes much because that's kind of what we've been doing anyway. It's you try to establish double teams as much as possible, and we'll have a few things up our sleeve to try to take advantage of their aggression and their strengths. You got to look at what you do well and how to be successful running the ball. We want to establish a run game, and we want to be able to throw the quick passes and such and get it in space.
And last one, in terms of what Burns and Dutch Fork Diesel wants to do with their scheme.
We've become a 2 tight end set team, and that's their base. 2 good defenses, their defense doesn't get enough credit. They're very sound. They don't give up big plays. They're where they're supposed to be. They tackle well. They've got a lot of talent on defense. I think 6 guys would offer so far.
Now, Diesel, I will say one of the other huge games, I think when you get to the quarterfinals, every game is huge. But Belton Honeypath, Woodruff, Friday night. This game's in Spartanburg County at Woodruff. I just don't know if you're going to find a more attended, more exciting football game than this one, Diesel. You've got BHP, big, bad BHP versus a really good Woodruff team. Aiden Gibson, who's been a player of the week for us. We've had him on the show. They're really, really talented. I think this is going to be the marquee matchup of maybe a Friday night. I think there's, again, to my point, in the quarterfinals, every game's stellar. But, man, I got to catch up with Russell Blackston today of BHP and Brett Sloan of Woodruff. This one, Diesel, when it's all said and done, and we're talking about this on Saturday and Monday, this could be the closest game. I think this one might be the one that has the fireworks, per se, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun matchup to watch. You're looking for a packed house, probably.
Yeah, packed house.
Game. How big of a stadium does Woodruff have?
We were talking about that Saturday. I would say it's in the realm of 4 to 5. Google, we looked at it on Saturday, Diesel, and Google had it like 7,000. They're building a new school at Woodruff, and I don't know if it took that into effect or not, but I would say a few thousand. It's not in the realm of 7,000 like Google told us. But here's what Russell Blackston had to say. 2 answers from him on quarterback Noah Thomas and what the offense will look like Friday night.
Well, 100%. The guy's a 3-year starter, and, you probably Google across the teams that are left, I'd be interested to know how many guys have had that much experience as Noah's got. 13 games his sophomore year, 13 games his junior year, and 12 games already into this year. And, he's just been a blessing to coach and be around. Team captain, he's the leader for us. And, it's going to be in his hands for sure.
Diesel, I believe that I'm leaning Belton Honeypath, and we'll get to what Brett Sloan said from the Woodruff side as well. But you remember the name Noah Thomas. This kid has played a lot of snaps for Belton Honeypath, played in some big games last year. And if you remember, he got injured late in the year last year in that state championship game. They fell short, but I'm just telling you, man, this one's going to be fun. Noah Thomas is as good as it gets. And I think if Belton Honeypath wins on Friday, again, one more answer from Russell Blackston on his quarterback, but I think it'll be because of Russell Blackston and his faith in his quarterback that he talks about here.
He runs the ball well, throws the ball well. He's a game manager. He can make plays. He can do it all. We got a big old offensive front, and those guys have been together for a long time. And, just anxious to get to Woodruff on Friday night, see how this thing unfolds. It's definitely a challenge. We like to think they have a challenge too. And we're going to try and be physical and see what happens.
It's going to be a good one, man. Going to be a lot of fun. Diesel also Friday, Gaffney making the trip to Rock Hill District 3 Stadium. It's Gaffney Northwestern. These 2 teams, man, a lot of history lately between these 2. And I'll be honest with you, the way Gaffney played against Greenwood Friday, they make you believe that they can go up there. Now, this is a really good Northwestern team. Paige Wofford's done an exceptional job year in and year out. But I just don't know. You ask me on Friday, we'll do our picks at, 3 o'clock on Friday?
Yep.
You're going to ask me who I'm going to pick in this one? And I'll tell you this. I picked Greenwood. And what did Peanut Bailey tell us, early, like yesterday on the show? He said, for those keep picking against us, keep picking against us. I have no idea in this one. I think I think Gaffney's very much capable of going up there and getting it done.
Well, talk about, Gaffney having a little bit of a tough start, but they've turned it on in the last 3 quarters of the season. And
that's scary.
Could it have gone any better for Donnie Littlejohn in his first season there at Gaffney? You like I said, a little bit of a tough start, but man, they have figured some things out. And that's what you get when you hire somebody with that much experience and that much time spent at a school, knowing those players inside and out, knowing that offense inside and out, being able to just hit the ground running.
There for, 30 some odd years, to your point, was there for a long, long time. Here's what Donnie Littlejohn said when talking about Northwestern and that matchup, and if you can use those previous matchups to help you on Friday.
Well, I think part of it is based on your personnel. And each coach is going to do stuff different based on, their personnel from year to year, but their schemes are similar. And then there's some people from the past who look a little bit like, some of the stuff they've done in the past. So you can always draw from that. But I think you still use just the history from, Coach Wofford and what he's done in the past and some of that stuff, and, try to emulate and try to, game plan to be successful.
Sure.
This coming Friday. I think you keep them in the back of your mind just because of the historic and the tradition and the past games that we've had with them. It's always a battle with Northwestern. Last time we went there was last year for the Upstate Championship, and a lot of points were scored that night, and they came out on top. So I don't think you forget about them. I just think you use them as motivation.
Use them as motivation. There have been some good ones now. Last year, Diesel, Upper State Championship, Northwestern got the better of Gaffney. So, I think you can. I think you can use some of that.
Little motivation.
That's right.
And I find it funny how many of these coaches say, oh, we're not going to try anything new. We want to make sure we're focused in on the things that we're good at, right?
Yeah.
We want to be able to do those things well. But all these coaches have something hidden up the sleeve. They have a couple of plays that they haven't brought out because, all that stuff's on tape. Everything that you've run is on tape at this point.
No, you better have a few things new. On what it's going to take from Donnie Littlejohn and the Gaffney Indians to get a win, here's what he said to me earlier today.
We're going to have to bring the same energy and effort that we brought last week versus Greenwood. We have to complete a full game. I think last week was the first game we played all year where we played 4 quarters and all 3 phases played 4 quarters. You got to take care of the ball and not make crazy mistakes and not help them out with bonehead penalties.
Also, if you're wondering what this year's Northwestern team looks like, here's what he said.
Coach Wofford does a good job there. They got a couple of playmakers on offense that can present you some problems, starting with their quarterback, number 5. I think you got 2 good receivers in 3 and 8. And then, of course, they got an all-star player in the center, number 78.
Now, also, Diesel, on Friday night, Dorman, who's had just a tremendous season, Jake Morris, hiring Michael Lancaster, hiring Jason Farmer on the offensive side of things this year. They host Ridgeview. This is a Ridgeview team that's in the Columbia area. So naturally, a lot of people up here just don't know a ton about them. Here's what Jake Morris said on this year's Ridgeview team.
They're extremely athletic, very fast. One of the fastest teams we played this year. So they got a ton of talent, pretty loaded there at receiving for their offense, and defensively they just fly around the field. So good ball team coming in here Friday.
And what do they do offensively?
I think they're still 50-50. They throw a lot of quick game, a lot of screens. They can beat you over the top. They run the ball pretty effective too. So, they've kind of stayed the same. Not much has changed. I think they might be their 3rd quarterback, but this kid's a good player, and he's really not a big step off from where they were. So. Still a ton of talent coming in here.
So, Cole, you mentioned, some of the stars of some of these other games. Trace Segura with Burns as they taking on Dutch Fork. Who are the guys that you're looking at Dorman who are difference makers for this team?
It's funny you ask, because the last clip of audio from Jake Morris, you talk about number 90, a difference maker. There is no difference maker in the upstate, in my mind, like Christian Waring. What he does at the nose guard position, he has thrown quarterbacks and linemen like rag dolls this season. One of the best defensive linemen. Again, number 90. He got hurt a few weeks ago. He came back on Friday. Diesel, and I'm telling you right now, that kid is as good as it gets, and I'm glad you asked because here's what Jake Morris said about getting him and some others back healthy.
Yeah, Christian's back. Had a great game for us last week. Did a great job in preparation leading up to the play of the game, and really didn't miss too much of a step when he came back. So he's healthy, ready to roll, and we kind of got a full roster rolling into this. So that's a good time to be healthy.
And that's scary, right? Going into the playoffs, Diesel, healthy. Dorman's really talented already. That's a really, really scary thought. I like Dorman.
Is that a kid you see having some big time
offers?
offers?
Oh yeah. He is just your typical. He's the prototype defensive lineman that you would want. He's got the size, the intangibles, man. He's really good. A few clips before we run to a break from Brett Sloan of Woodruff. Again, going against BHP. You heard from Russell Blackston, but here's what Brett Sloan said on this year's BHP team.
I mean, they're just really, really good at what they do. They're very sound in what they do. They're very physical. You turn on the film and it's a high level of execution, especially on offense. And then they're super, super aggressive on defense, and they're really hard to run the football on. They challenge you at the line of scrimmage, and they control the line of scrimmage against almost everybody. And we're gonna have our hands full. They're a very, very good football team. So, yeah, I would say they throw it a little bit more than they did last year. They still have good backs. Obviously with the Henderson kid graduating, they're not quite as dynamic at running back. But the quarterback is to me, he's kind of what makes them go. He brings a lot of balance in both the run game and in the pass game for them. And he's pretty good at running buck sweep himself. They'll run just quarterback buck sweep, and he's a dynamic runner. And then, you see him making throws in their boot game, and then their play action game, and their sprint out game, and things like that. And so he's a really good football player. And like I said, we're going to have our hands full.
And then last one, Diesel, you talk about great impact players. You just asked the question. There are few better than Aiden Gibson of Woodruff. Again, we've had him on. He was the player of the week last year, player of the week this year. Here's what Brett Sloan said about what he'll have to do Friday.
Yeah, I mean, it's just about finding ways to get him the ball. Last week it was handing it to him 36 times. I think Aiden's greatest asset is his versatility. You just don't see a lot of guys that are as big as he is that can line up at receiver and be just as effective out there, and he's able to do that. So, it's just figuring out, okay, what are they deciding they're going to take away no matter what, and then figuring out how to adjust and make sure he gets the touches that he needs, and make sure he has opportunity to make plays for us. So,
and again, one more time, the slate Friday night: Diesel, Tolos, Burns at Dutch Fork, Ridgeview at Dorman, Gaffney at Northwestern, Indian Land at TL Hanna, Camden at Westside, Mountain View Prep at Powdersville, Belton Honeypath at Woodruff, and Fairfield Central at Clinton. A loaded slate, man.
When we come back, the Carolina Panthers, we talked about them earlier, 6-5, half a game out of the division lead in the NFC South. We're going to venture to pick the rest of their schedule, Cole, to see where they might finish down the stretch here. That's next on the Fan Upstate.
It's Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
You know, I feel like picking the Carolina Panthers win-loss for the rest of the season, Cole, is an exercise in futility, because as soon as you think you got a beat on who and what this team is, they just go the opposite direction.
Inconsistent.
Yeah, maybe they're just unpredictable, might be a way of putting it. But 6-5 with a pretty decent shot at the playoffs here at this point. I mean, there's still a lot of football left to be played, and anything could happen, Cole. But let's look forward over the next couple of weeks and see what we think might happen with these Carolina Panthers.
Loss.
They go.
I'm sorry. I'll stop.
You're not even going to give them a chance.
I'm sorry.
You're not even going to discuss
just salty.
them.
They beat my cow
On the road at the San Francisco 49ers, Cole. San Francisco, they're playing pretty good football, but they're giving up some points depending on who they play. They gave up 22 to the Cardinals, 42 to the Rams, 24 to the Giants, 26 to the Texans. So teams can score on these 49ers.
That's this weekend?
That's this weekend.
Yeah, loss. San Francisco, I think that's just a tough place to go win. You know what I mean?
I'm with you. Road loss. And they'll just go. I mean, if they do that, Cole, they're going win-loss, win-loss, win-loss for the last 6 games.
Oh, really?
Then they'll host on November 30th the 8-2 LA Rams. Matt Stafford playing lights out football. Only 2 picks on the season.
They have the Niners and Rams back to
back.
And what's their record? 5-4,
6-4,
6-4,
6-5 for the Panthers.
They're 6-5.
Yep.
They'll be 6-7. Unfortunately,
Yowza.
Diesel, you're not beating. Those are 2 good teams. They'll be 6-7.
Ouch. Okay. Then they're on the road at the Saints, a team that beat them 17-7 last week in that inexplicable loss we couldn't figure out.
They'll win that one, man. After losing 2, that game's on the road. Good gosh, did they play at Bank of America again this year? Did you
the Rams are at home.
Oh, the Rams. Oh,
the Rams
wow.
are home
Great.
Game.
We get
they
to watch the Rams
Bucks,
kick their
Seahawks.
teeth. Yeah, I do like them against the Saints. So that'll put them back at 500 for me at 7-7 is where I have them right now.
Man, I have them going same as you, 2-1 over this stretch. I have Bryce Young kind of regressing back to maybe not back to the 185 yards. Of
Well, he's not going to throw for 4.
No, he's not going to throw for 440.
440. Sorry.
But yeah, again, get him to the 250 mark, and you're talking about something here. Maybe they figured something out in that get the DBs to crash, play aggressively, and then just kind of toss it right over the middle, right over their heads, and let Ted McMillan go create.
So we're both at 7-7.
7-7. Then they'll be facing the Buccaneers at home.
I think they win that one.
Yeah.
I think they win that one at home. It'll be right before Christmas. Is that right? I mean, late in the
that
year.
game is on the 21st.
21st, so right before Christmas. I'll go Panthers, get their early Christmas present and get a win at home against the Bucs. I'll put them at 8-7 after that.
Well, the Bucs have been disappointing. Again, they've lost 3 out of their last 4. They're losing at home. They're losing on the road. Baker Mayfield playing pretty well. It's not on Baker Mayfield. He's 17 touchdowns to 3 interceptions on the season.
Yeah.
They're not asking him to do a ton. They're not running the ball as much as the Panthers are, for crying out loud. Rico Dowdle has 168 carries on the season. Compare that to Rachaad White for the Bucs, and they're not putting nearly the load on Rachaad White that the Panthers are putting on Rico Dowdle.
Yeah.
Then they wrap it up with the Seahawks, and again on the road at Tampa.
2 losses in a row.
Ouch.
2 losses. So you're finishing the season with a losing record in my mind.
So that would put them at, let's see, we had them losing that to the Niners and Rams. That puts them at 6-7.
Mm-hmm.
Winning against the Saints, 7-7.
6-7.
Winning against the Buccaneers, 8-7. Losing to Seattle at home and the Bucs on the road. Wow, to have them at 8-9. But hey, 8-9, when you compare that to what they've been over the past couple of seasons, that's a big step. And I think that changes the complexity of some things for Dan Morgan and makes you say, maybe we can win with a lot of these players and we don't have to go wholesale major changes.
Yeah, but if you win, what do we say, 8-9? If
8-9.
you win 8 games this year and say, okay, let's improve by 1 or 2 next year, that's a playoff team next year. That's a 10-win team. That would be impressive. So I don't think 8-9's. I really don't think that's that big of a disappointment. I really don't.
When you look at it from a relative standpoint to what this team has achieved, Panthers fans ought to be ecstatic
as long as you can keep,
season.
Taking it up a notch.
Take us another step.
By the way, RJ said on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line, Dorman's Christian Waring is currently an App State commit. This kid is so much fun to watch. He is.
Let's go.
There you go.
Got offers
Diesel.
from BC, East Carolina, Liberty, and Charlotte as well.
Well, it was a big day today in the press conference world. What did Shane Beamer, what did Dabo Swinney have to say? We'll talk about it. We'll have the audio for you next. on the mic today, Shane Beamer spoke to the media in his weekly press conference. Dabo Swinney spoke to the media in his weekly press conference. We listen and react to a little bit of both. We normally do Dabo on Tuesdays and Shane on Wednesdays at 6, but tomorrow it is a shortened edition of Wire to Wire until 6 o'clock, Diesel. You'll be on location at Ingles and Travelers Rest, and then at 6 o'clock we will have Furman basketball, the pregame show with Dan Scott and those guys beginning at 6. So only 3 hours and only 2 hours to get your upset pick in tomorrow, right? Only 2 hours because it opens at 4.
Correct.
And it closes at 6 tomorrow. So you will not have much time to do so. Do you want to start with Dabo Swinney or Shane Beamer, Diesel?
Oh, that's a tough one because both of them were dropping bangers today.
Yeah, that's pretty good stuff today.
Let's
good
start,
content.
Since we started with South Carolina to start the show today, let's start this segment with Dabo Swinney.
All right, let's do it. And Dabo Swinney today, by the way, in his, I really am envious, his camouflage Clemson Tigers sweatshirt, I have to say, looks pretty sweet, pretty slick. Here's Dabo's opening comments. We'll listen and react.
Home this week, last home game, and special week as always when it's senior day. I really enjoyed doing life with this group of seniors, and you think for us, these guys have been here, for a long time. Some 6 years, 5 years, 4 years. A couple of them 3-year guys that are graduating in December. So. Just a great group of people, and really, really proud of them. And I was saying at the press conference after the game, I think a good study would be if somebody would really commit to it, track this group of seniors over the next 20 years. These guys are going to do some fascinating things in their life. So
there's a department for that, right?
Make a note of that. Pass it down to an intern.
There you go.
All right, who can report back in 20 years. This group, they're just great people. I mean, they're great people. They're incredibly equipped for life. They're graduates. They're all champions. And, they love Clemson. They've had a great experience here. And, obviously this year didn't go the way we wanted to for their final year. But, man, they have been, I've probably learned more about them this year than any of those other years just because of, the challenges that we've had and just having to really, handle some adversity and disappointment and things together. So I just love this group of people. I mean, they really are great human beings, and I just think they're going to do amazing things. And as they move forward, I hate it for Walker, just super disappointed for him. But man, the good Lord gave him 2 more years because honestly, I didn't think he'd play. We all thought he was done 2 years ago. And he's a miracle, honestly, that he was not only able to come back and play, but to, play at a high level and, to be able to, for the most part, stay available. He played 62 games in his career. I think that's top 7 all time at Clemson. So I hate it for him to miss this week, but kind of ironic that it ended in Kentucky, where it all started for him. Had all of his family there. He's a captain, and a game-winning drive. And had the key block to spring Adam on the long run. So just really, again, all these guys, man, they're just winners, and I love them all, and look forward to having a great day with them in the Valley and honoring them. And then also, obviously, Military Appreciation Day, hence my outfit today. So excited about that. That's always a ton of fun to be a part of as well, just to see how Clemson does it. We have an amazing military heritage here. We have a lot of military families on our team, and parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, siblings, etc. So it's just a beautiful week, and I'm glad the game is at 4:30. I think that's kind of unusual time, but I think it's going to be a really great day. You got to get a little bit of the afternoon and a little bit of the evening as well. And great for our fans, just to be able to truly even have more time to enjoy a beautiful day in Clemson. So excited about it, looking forward to it. And I've got all the respect in the world for Coach Hendricks. I mean, he's as good as it gets.
Shout out.
He's a great football coach. He's a better person, and I've always enjoyed being around him when I've had the opportunity to. So this is it for them. Their last game. Their typical Coach Hendricks team: tough, physical, well coached, and downhill runners. They've got some skill outside. They're top 20 in passing in the country, and so that's certainly an area I know they'll try to attack us there. And then we're on the other side. I mean, they've got a defensive end that's got 13 and a half sacks, number 95, who's gotten after you, and same thing. They're a 4-down aggressive defense. But for us, man, just want us to play well. It's an opportunity to punch our ticket to postseason. Again, that's from where we were to be able to fight back and get back to where we have a chance to get to the postseason. Just proud of the guys for battling all the way, and that's a streak that we have an opportunity to keep alive and create some more momentum. I mean, it'll be 3 in a row, and opportunity to again finish. On a strong note. So that's our focus, and just have a great week of practice, and hopefully we'll be able to play some guys as well. Hopefully we'll have we can get some guys in the game that maybe hadn't played as much. But you got to go earn that, and Furman ain't gonna make that easy, that's for sure. But look forward to the day, look forward to the week, and injury wise, you guys are up to date on where we are with Braden and Walker, with those two guys. But other than that, we should be full go.
The question was, Dabo, how you doing today? And he talks for like 8 minutes about everything involving the program.
Dabo's opening statements are lengthy.
Buttering up Clay Hendricks and the Furman Paladins.
6 minutes, by the way.
Trying to soften him up. Well, that's a record. That's actually short for most Dabo press conferences. Hey, buttering up these Furman Paladins, trying to make them feel a little complacent, maybe feel a little good about themselves. I get it. That's a good strategy, Dabo.
Yeah, and he's always complimentary. We'll get a few questions in here. I don't know what was asked about Furman specifically, but he's always complimentary. And Furman's, they've had an average season. It's been a tough year. Some weeks for those guys able to get, off that losing streak this past Saturday with that win over VMI. But I don't expect this game to be close. Of course, we've seen it happen before where, we don't expect games to be close, and we know, we've seen it. We've seen teams, I go back to the Troy game or Old Dominion last year at South Carolina to open the season, just a, touchdown game or less than a touchdown, I believe, Diesel. So we'll see. I don't think it'll be close on Saturday.
Trey's going to have to play out of his mind. He's been a little pick happy. Coach has told us that himself.
That's right.
That he sometimes just has trouble seeing some of the coverages. And I guarantee you that this Clemson defense is going to throw a couple things at him, maybe try to pick him off early, put this game away by halftime, and then they could just coast in. But hey, that's the challenge. If you're an FCS team going on the road against a power team, especially one just down the road, you're not going to be able to sneak up on them at all. And you know that Dabo and Coach Clay Hendricks, they know each other really, really well from years and years of being this close together. So, maybe the most fireworks are going to be before the game as they're just standing around having that pregame chat.
Could be a couple of questions, and we'll move over to Shane Beamer. Maybe.
I know David Hood asked a really good one.
Did he?
As you kind of get down the stretch here, senior day, stuff like that.
Well, Chapel Fowler?
Keeping an eye on just retention and thinking about next year and conversations with guys who maybe have a decision or just maybe don't have a decision, but there's portal and all this stuff.
Yeah.
How's that going?
Yeah, I mean, that's really, to me, that never stops. That's always just a part of what we do in college football. That's spring, that's summer, that's fall camp, that's in season. It's not just like, okay, this is the week we sit down. I mean, that's always just a part of just what you do. But you'll have deeper conversations with guys. I mean, you're getting NFL grades back, so that's all things that you sit down. Guys have to make a decision. Some guys will have to make a decision on, do they want to go pro? Do they want to stay? And then, the portal has been, it's been moved. I'm glad it's not in 2 weeks or whatever. I still don't like where it is, but at least it's just one, and it's better where it is than where we had it. So, in December, you'll have time in December to really process all that type of stuff and go from there.
Even with the time, will you expect that teams will have a lot of players say, "Hey, I'm going to enter the portal in January right after the season ends"?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. That'll happen.
He's saying when the portal window moved, does Dabo still expect the announcements? And
right,
yeah, the window moving is all of a sudden going to make players not announce it, right?
Well, I think a lot of these players, they already have a sense that Garrett Riley's probably not coming back next year. They listen, they hear these things.
Yeah,
maybe Garrett Riley does come back. I would be shocked if he did, but maybe he does. And if he does, maybe you keep some of these guys around. If not, if Garrett Riley goes, you might lose more players than you think that you would, but at least you get a little more time to have these conversations and try to re-recruit your own roster. It's not such a breakneck decision-making situation.
More from Dabo.
Again, I love the fact that the high school recruiting is not getting disrupted because it was all right there together. So you can really focus on your high school recruits, and then you can focus on what you got to do in the portal. I mean, because like I said, if you can't fill your need, like for us, if we don't get what we need out of the high school pool, or we have a guy that's committed that all of a sudden decommits late, and we've had that happen, and now all of a sudden you got a gap, but now you've got more time to fill that gap, as opposed to the way it was. It was all just kind of right there together. So, but yeah, you'll have, as seasons in and things like that, I'm sure kids will make it known, hey, I'm going to be entering the portal, but you still can't talk to them. But there's still a lot of tampering going on. That's just the way of the world. I mean, it's out there. And
tampering.
We've had people reach out to us, and say, hey, I'm such and such and whoever, and this guy's going to enter the portal, and I know that people are having those conversations and even cutting deals, but not us. We ain't doing that.
Something I've never heard Dabo answer the question of. He's talked about, before not wanting to get into bidding wars, and I think Don Munson probably more closely used those exact words, that Clemson would not get in bidding wars for players who are in the portal. I am curious if Clemson gets into bidding wars to keep players, to retain players that they may have a plan for. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that Gideon Davidson was thinking about entering the transfer portal. Well, is Dabo going to get into a bidding war over whatever school might be interested in him to keep him around, assuming that, he thinks highly enough of him to try to keep him?
Yeah, I think.
Or do they kind of do well, if you want to go, go?
I don't know that they would ever use the term bidding war, but yeah, I do believe they would. They'd have to. I mean, you have to retain players, period, right? I'm not saying you have to retain 100% of them, but I do believe you have to. You call it a bidding war, you call it whatever. You've got to retain football players.
Okay, call it a tit for tat.
That's
offer
right.
Off.
Let's hear and listen and react to a few minutes of what Shane Beamer said in his opening statement today in his news conference earlier today.
Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. I was continuing the fight that Clayton White and I had yesterday. I didn't whip his butt enough yesterday, so I wanted to finish it before I walked in here. I told y'all Saturday after the game, social media is going to be the end of this all. There's another example. Are y'all freaking kidding me?
So for those listening that don't know, there was a lot. And listen, Diesel, my
got
phone,
me a little bit.
If you could have seen the people that were texting me screenshots over the weekend of message boards that claimed Shane Beamer and Clayton White got into it, that was pretty good. Look, I love the breaking the ice one more time from Shane Beamer. Just having a little fun, even though it's been a tough year.
All right. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. I was continuing the fight that Clayton White and I had yesterday. I I didn't whip his butt enough yesterday, so I wanted to finish it before I walked in here. I told y'all Saturday after the game, social media is going to be the end of us all. There's another example. Y'all freaking kidding me. And you guys believed it because y'all were texting coaches and staff members yesterday to ask if this was true. Sent it to my own wife and
called out
a screenshot that I had Jessica Jackson send me of this rumor, and her response was, "Did y'all?" And just like I told our players, put the phone down, Emily, and everyone else. I know she's listening. I love you, babe. Having said that, this is our Salute the Troops game. Excited for that. What a way to honor our military. So grateful for them and the freedoms they provide for us, the sacrifices they make. It's always one of my favorite games, being able to look up in the stands and see them. So as we told our team this morning, we need to go put on a good performance for those men and women and play well in front of them. We're going to do Senior Day this week. So we should be honoring our seniors at around 3:50 p.m.
No Senior
Kickoff's
Day
at
for Clemson.
4:15. So at 3:50 is when we'll honor those seniors, and would please ask our fans to be in your seats early and give those guys the recognition and honor that they deserve.
It's a little bit of a distraction when you do Senior Day. It's kind of like homecoming Diesel at the high school level. I wonder if they move that just so that next Saturday at home there's zero distraction. I don't know, but you typically have Senior Day on the last home game, right? With Clemson coming into town, maybe Beamer didn't want it. And I
don't want to pull the players out of the locker room.
Maybe so.
I don't
have a problem with it. Maybe it's done more on these FCS, FCS opponents, and just a thought.
Well, Coastal's G5.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, G5.
Young men in that group that have given a lot to Gamecock football. Some guys that were here before I even got hired as the head coach that have now been here for 5 seasons with me alone, plus one with Coach Muschamp. So want to honor those guys. They've given so much to the University of South Carolina. They love being Gamecocks, and I would really hope that our fans would be in their seats early to show appreciation for those seniors that'll be participating on Saturday. And then we need to go play well against a really good Coastal team. Coach Beck's done an awesome job. They're hot. They had a loss the other night when they had an injury at the quarterback position, but still had a chance to win at the end of the game. They've scored 40 points or more in 4 straight games, I believe. They were on a 4-game winning streak before they got beat the other night, playing some really good football, had some nice wins throughout the month of October. So they're certainly a team that's gotten better as the year has gone on. They present some problems defensively. They've got good personnel. The scheme is a little bit different than what we see week in, week out in this conference. So we've got to do a great job of putting together a plan to go attack a defensive structure that's a little bit different.
Coastal Carolina on the clock, Diesel. How about it?
It would not shock you. Fill in the blank. It would not shock you if Coastal Carolina was still in this game at what point?
It would not shock me?
Yeah. Still in it at what part of the game?
First quarter.
Oh, come on.
End of the first quarter.
Come on.
End.
Not at halftime? You don't think Coastal's going to be in this game at halftime?
I don't think so.
I think they might be in it late in the third.
I'll go halftime.
Okay.
I'll
We'll do a little bargaining here.
I'll go halftime. Yeah.
When we come back, let's talk more about these South Carolina Gamecocks with Jack Veltri of Gamecock Central next.